Welcome to 1983, where gender roles are fragile. Stay-at-home dads are national punchlines, and a man can lose his entire identity just by folding a towel. Mr. Mom is a story of a man pushed to the brink by laundry, grocery stores, and basic parenting expectations. Fire up the chainsaw and brace yourself for a flannel-wrapped descent into madness on this episode of The Regular Guy Movie Show.
Lights go down, let's hit play. Regular guys got something to say. The Regular Guy Movie Show, talking flicks. Here we go!
Welcome back to The Regular Guy Movie Show, where three dudes revisit the classics of their childhood to find out if they still hold up, or if they were just holding us back. Today, we're diving into the 1983 domestic comedy, Mr. Mom, the film that asked the bold question, what if a man did laundry? Joining me, as always, on this cinematic exploration are two of my favoriteest peoples in the whole wide world, my co-hosts, Brian and Justin. Gentlemen, are you ready to dive into a world where parenting is terrifying, chili is baby food, and grocery stores are the devil's playground?
Let's go, Daddy-O.
I'm ready to wrestle a vacuum.
All right. Well, gentlemen, let's kick things off as we always do, and let's kind of, remember when we first came in contact with this movie. So Brian, when did you first watch Mr. Mom?
I believe I was about 9 or 10 years old. Watched it in the family room on HBO.
All right. And Justin?
Not a shocker, but I watched this film last week. In 1983, I was 1. So yeah, watched it last week.
All right. This is a movie I definitely remember renting as a family, back in the days of the top-loaded VHS.
Oh, yeah.
You had to go get from the video rental store. I definitely remember this being one of the ones we watched. And then later, in later years, watching again on cable. Haven't watched it in years, though.
Well, as an adult, it's not something that I would really seek out to watch. But when we talked about movies we grew up on, I probably watched this a handful of times as a kid.
All right.
I have not watched it in ever, Bob.
In ever.
In ever?
In ever, Bob.
Did you know about the movie?
I knew nothing about it.
Okay, you never even heard of it?
No, never even heard about it. This was my first experience with Mr. Mom.
Okay.
All right. Well, I look forward to hearing more about your thoughts.
It's going to be exciting.
All right.
I have lots of them.
Well, before we dive into that, let's find out the general synopsis of what this movie was all about. Brian?
Okay, Mr. Mom came out in 1983. The story follows Jack Butler, an automotive engineer in Detroit, who is unexpectedly laid off during a recession. When his wife, Carolyn, returns to the workforce in advertising to support the family, Jack finds himself thrust into the unfamiliar and chaotic role of a stay-at-home dad. Initially overwhelmed by the demands of parenting and household chores, Jack slowly adapts to his new role. Meanwhile, Carolyn rises quickly in her career, but faces pressure from her flirtatious boss and the expectations of the male-dominated corporate world. As the couple navigates reversed roles and shifting identities, the film uses humor to explore themes of masculinity, domestic responsibility, and the evolving dynamics of the American family of the 1980s. Mr. Mom blends slapstick comedy with heart, ultimately highlighting the value of empathy, teamwork, and mutual respect in relationships.
Oh, that's nice.
It sounds so wholesome.
That does sound wholesome.
Yeah.
And how did this movie do in the box office?
Okay, Mr. Mom, oddly enough, was a box office success, and it performed quite well for its time. So the budget for this film was approximately $5 million, and the domestic gross in the movie theaters was over $64 million. So a great return on investment there.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, and one of the most notable things about this movie is that this was the screenwriting debut of John Hughes.
Yes, it was his very first produced screenplay, I believe.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right.
He went on to do some stuff.
Look
He
at
did
you.
a few things.
Look at you, John Hughes.
Yeah. Came from the world of advertising, and but kind of found himself in a situation where he had to be the stay-at-home dad. So a lot of the idea of Mr. Mom was based on his own experience.
Right.
So, and they kind of worked on that. Now, he did not direct the film. Another person, Stan Dragati, actually directed the film. John Hughes could have directed the film, and initially the idea of this was going to be a TV movie. And if it had stayed that way, John Hughes probably would have made his directorial debut as well. But whenever it kind of moved into being more of a Hollywood picture, John Hughes didn't want to leave his home in Chicago, so he took a pass. He stepped away from the project. So then they brought in Stan Dragati, who was a director who had a lot of advertising and TV experience, but also did have some film experience. I don't know if either one of you watched the movie Love at First Bite. It was a 1979 George Hamilton disco era Dracula movie.
I have not seen it, but it sounds like something we would watch on this show.
Yeah, and then in later years,
So it must be terrible.
Right.
he also directed The Man with One Red Shoe, which was
I
with
remember
Tom
that.
Hanks.
Tom Hanks, yeah.
As well as She's Out of Control in 1989, which was a teen comedy starring Tony Danza.
Who's the boss?
Yeah. So, that's what, the team that kind of helped make this movie a reality. So let's kind of talk then about the people we meet on screen.
All right. First up, we have Jack Butler, played by Michael Keaton.
Honey, if you call and I'm not here, I'll be at the gym or at the gun club.
Now, Jack Butler's a laid-off auto industry engineer who takes on the role of the stay-at-home dad with hilarious and sometimes disastrous results.
The three of us are fathers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're fairly domesticated.
Yeah, sure.
I think we've all changed diapers. We've all
yeah.
vacuumed. We've all done laundry.
Yeah.
I thought Michael Keaton's comedic timing was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he played this role really well.
He did.
But holy cow. And maybe we'll get into it later, but I thought there were some real holes in his education.
There definitely was. and it's not like he just became a dad yesterday.
Exactly.
He's got kids of multiple ages. At least for 8 years, he's been a dad.
He's
and it
got
seems
some
like
tenure.
Yeah, at some point, you feel like he would have picked up a few things.
Right.
You'd think.
And this is actually kind of where I think the departure of John Hughes, when he left the project, they brought in other screenwriters, people with more TV experience and advertising experience to kind of fill in the gaps and do multiple rewrites. And I think somewhere along the way, some people who didn't have any idea of what parenting was took over the movie.
They must have, because this was largely exaggerated. And also, parents in the 80s were not this bad. You know what I mean? Like dads in the 80s were not this bad.
You're right. It's almost a role reversal from like the 50s.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, the deficiencies we have in Jack are not Michael Keaton's fault.
No.
I don't think.
No, not at all.
by all means.
No,
no.
And also what I find is interesting, Michael Keaton turned down the lead role in the movie Splash to play Jack in Mr. Mom.
Okay. I thought he did really well with what material he had. I think that, he was really funny. I thought that he was, there was nothing about his performance that was bad.
No.
It was just poorly written.
All over the place.
Right.
And we'll definitely get more into that.
Yeah, we'll dive into that. But yeah, I agree with you, Justin. I thought as the actor, he was great.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Made the movie.
I loved him.
Mm-hmm.
Did either of you caught the movie he made prior to this?
No.
It was Night Shift.
Night Shift.
It was made in 1980, or came out in 1982, and he co-starred with Henry Winkler.
You got to be kidding me.
I'm not.
The Fonz?
The Fonz. Yeah, it's a movie about morgue attendants working, you guessed it, the night shift.
The Night Shift. Aptly named.
I bet it was an A-run movie.
But after this, Michael Keaton went on to many more notable roles. Beetlejuice, where he played Beetlejuice. Batman, where he played Batman. And Birdman,
where he played. What did he play in that one?
Well, his name was Riggin.
Oh.
But essentially, it was a guy who thought he was Birdman. And he also was in a whole lot of other movies that didn't start with the letter B.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never seen Birdman.
It's it got a lot of hype when it came out, but I gotta say it was a very disappointing movie.
Well, we'll probably review it.
You want to know my favorite Michael Keaton movie? My Life.
My Life.
Oh,
You want to hear something that is gonna shock the
haven't
out of you?
seen it.
you've never heard it?
I've never seen it. Never heard of it.
Oh, it's a tearjerker.
It's good.
Yeah.
I always enjoyed Multiplicity.
I did see that one. I did. Saw that one.
Oh, my hand is up. I did not.
You didn't?
I did not see
Oh,
Multiplicity.
we'll have to do that one.
All right.
Yep.
All right.
The list grows.
All right, let's move on. Who's next?
All right, next on my list is Carolyn Butler, played by Terry Garr.
Well, if I wanted something to eat, Jack, I would have come down and had something to eat with you and your girlfriends.
I'm sorry, I was picturing that whole scene in my head. Carolyn is Jack's wife who re-enters the workforce in advertising and quickly rises through the ranks.
Terry Garr's a smoke show.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah, she was something.
When I was a young adult, I remember there was a Hanes commercial on TV where she was in her underwear.
All right.
And it burned its image in the back of my mind. I've always had a little bit of a flame for Terry Garr.
Okay.
I always thought she was exquisite.
Yeah.
Nice.
But regarding the character, again, I thought her portrayal, I have no faults with. The problems I have are with the writing
Oh, so many problems.
and probably the directing in large part.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought she was delightful.
Yeah, she did a great job too.
Yeah, just like Michael. I think she did a really good job with the part she was given.
Right. Yeah, you can't really fault the actor for what was written for them to say, but they delivered it very well.
I agree.
Yeah.
Beyond Mr. Mom, you might know her from Young Frankenstein,
Yes.
Tootsie. Oh man, one of my favorite movies, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and Phoebe's mom on Friends.
Ah, Phoebe's mom. There we go. Smelly cat.
And the Hanes underwear commercial.
And that, most importantly,
yes.
Above all, burned into Brian's brain.
Mm-hmm.
The Hanes commercial.
Excuse me for a minute, gentlemen.
I have things to do.
I need to go decompress just a little bit.
Can we take a
All
quick
right.
10?
Make it 2.
While Brian's doing that, Justin, who else can we talk about?
All right, next up we have Ron Richardson, played by Martin Mull.
Well, we're going to be working long, hard hours, and you might be coming home pretty late at night. And, well, if there's going to be a problem, I want you to tell me about it right now.
Ron Richardson. Oh, he was up to something. He's Carolyn's slick and flirtatious boss. He had a whole lot of other plans for Carolyn.
Yes, he did.
He was sleazy, wasn't he?
Oh, he was.
Absolute dirtbag.
This is something I thought that was really funny. It's not funny. But could you imagine in today's world, a boss coming up to a female employee and just stroking their arm at work? The forwardness of this guy
Yeah.
just blew me away. And I'm like, man, if things were that bad in the 80s, holy cow, I could see why every other movie from the 80s that we've rated and talked about, every woman was being raped because it was just that blatant.
Yeah, Ron Richardson, to me, is the guy that started the #MeToo movement.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's the reason why that exists. And yeah, he was a scumbag.
On the other side, though, a different part I want to bring up. It's so weird to watch this movie and see Martin Mull be young. I've just always seen him as a 60-year-old plus man. It's weird to me that he was ever not that thing.
And we got to see him run.
Yeah, that was the moment. And when we get to the scenes, we'll get more into it. But at the little corporate game thing where he is running, it dawned on me holy shit, Martin Mull has not always been old. Look at that guy go. And I'm thinking, man, for a guy that old, he's really good. And then I looked it up on IMDb and realized he was younger than me at that point. I'm like, I genuinely thought that he just, some reason, I just assumed he was born 50.
He came out of the womb with gray hair. Yeah. What else was Martin Mull in?
As far as movies, the one I remember him from most is the movie Clue, where he played Colonel Mustard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But did a lot of TV, including Roseanne, where he played Leon Karp, Roseanne's boss.
Oh, that was him.
Yeah. And then, this is actually probably my favorite role he played. In Arrested Development, he's Gene Parmesan, the family's private detective and master of disguise.
I mean, you can't go wrong.
It's me, Gene Parmesan. I've been here the whole time.
Right?
I mean, you really can't go wrong with anything Arrested Development.
No.
So, yeah, I get it.
As far as his acting chops, again, I thought he played the role he was supposed to play pretty well.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, again, my issue is absolutely not with the acting in this movie. And I'm glad to hear we're all on the same page. I think we all are in agreement. There's major issues with the story.
Right. Not the actors.
No, but actors really did a good job.
They did a great job. I think the person at fault here is that slacker John Hughes.
That's where I was at first too. Watching this movie, I was cursing out John Hughes, but the more I read into it, I think the movie we got was far removed from what John Hughes wanted.
With all the rewrites, I think you're correct there. I believe everybody wanted to put their stamp on it. And it's kind of like when we made movies, I think we would have an idea and then it would snowball until it was way too far and we had to rein ourselves back in.
Right.
I didn't think there were enough reins on some of their ideas here. And I think a lot of the moments, a lot of the ideas kind of went too far.
So, yeah, I get it. Like, I think maybe that's this kind of direction.
Sure.
But John Hughes maybe had no say in the final script of this. It was just like,
No.
I'm moving on and you guys took over and this thing just kind of went off the rails.
And that's exactly what it would be. Once he backed off the project and it's in the director's hands, the director can do whatever they want. Now, what I also found is, what I learned, though, Stan Dragoti was not the first. It wasn't. John Hughes could have been the first choice. Mm-hmm. John Hughes stepped away. Stan Dragoti was not choice number 2. Mm-hmm. Ron Howard was choice number 2.
No kidding.
And I think we would have got a very different movie.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I think there'd have been more stuff blown up.
He chose to go do Splash instead.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So it's Splash's fault.
Oh, Splash.
God damn you, Daryl Hannah.
Damn it. I mean, it's Daryl Hannah. I go over there too.
She aight.
I know that it's not Terry Garr in the Hanes commercial for
right.
you, but like I get it.
Maybe she should do her own Hanes commercial. Then we could compare apples to
compare
apples.
and contrast.
Yes.
Should we do one today, like as they are today?
Oh, I don't know, but I'd still
Terry
be on board.
Garr is dead.
Is she really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. See, I told you I don't know nothing about this movie.
So I guess by default, Daryl Hannah would win.
Oh, well, yeah. Mm-hmm. Hands down.
Yeah.
Reigning champ.
Yeah.
Winner and still victorious.
Winner and still not dead.
Oops-a-daisies.
All right. Well, let's sally forth. Who's next?
All right. Next on my list is Joan, played by Ann Gillian.
Don't be ashamed about asking for help. Mommy training can be very, very tricky, and I can help with sitters and shopping and menus, and even if you just want to talk.
Oh, Joan, you're so helpful. She was the glamorous neighbor with an eye for Jack.
She was thirsty.
She was thirsty.
Super thirsty.
Super thirsty.
Outside of Mr. Mom, Ann Gillian is probably best known for 49 episodes of It's a Living, which was a TV series between 1980 and 1986.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, missed it.
Yeah, me too.
Never saw it.
All right, who else we got?
Last on my list, I have Jinx, played by Jeffrey Tambor.
I'm telling you, it's as simple as this. You can't sell cars. You can't pay people. Now, come on, relax. I like splitting gas money 4 ways.
Now, he's one of Jack's buddies from work and a representative of the more traditional male viewpoint.
I'm going to say kind of in the same category as Martin Mull. Watching this movie, I'm like, holy shit. When was Jeffrey Tambor young?
Yeah. The answer is 1983.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, because even with that, though, I mean, he looks exactly the same as he did as George Bluth on Arrested Development.
He does. He does. He's a little bit fleshier.
Yeah.
Being younger. But watching it, I had a hard time separating him from Arrested Development.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't like, and there was nothing about his performance that was off-putting either.
It wasn't big. It was not a very big role.
Right. He did provide some comedy foil, and like it was like he was just like he just didn't get it.
But I mean, what he did is he basically cemented himself as this guy who plays smarmy a-holes.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much was his career up to today.
Forever.
Who else was in this movie?
Christopher Lloyd was in this movie.
Lloyd was in this movie, yes.
Doc Brown.
I would have loved if the at the auto works, if they were making DeLoreans. That would have been awesome.
That
yeah.
would have been
he
really
had
cool.
a really small role. But yeah, it was interesting. Again, young Christopher Lloyd.
But this would have been after Taxi, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he would have been one of the pretty well known.
You'd think, yeah. I don't understand why he did this role, because I thought his chops were a lot bigger than the screen time that he got.
Yeah, it was very small.
Yeah.
Like he didn't do much at all.
Yeah, because Back to the Future would be, 3 years after this in 86?
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, I was excited to see him.
Or 85. 85 Back to the Future.
Yeah, one or the other.
Somewhere
plus or
in
minus,
mid-80s.
Yeah, plus or minus a year.
It was somewhere between 1980 and 1990.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for narrowing that down here.
You're welcome.
That's why
narrowing the scope.
Brian, this is what I'm here for.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's why you're here.
I'm here to help.
Awesome job, Justin.
But yeah, I mean, very small part, but man, he went all in on it.
He did.
He did. He could choke a motherfucker out.
Right.
He didn't play.
All right. Well, any other characters we want to talk about?
I thought the kids did a good job.
Yeah, I mean, they were kids.
Yeah. I mean,
They were cute.
It's hard working with kids.
There were a couple moments that I thought, oh, like really good moments that, man, they somehow still didn't fuck up. But their acting was just really good for being kids.
The middle child with the whoopee.
The whoopee, yeah.
I thought the whoopee scene was great.
It was my favorite scene of the movie, which we'll get into.
good.
But and my favorite part though is after all that, when he's like, "Can I have a moment to myself?" It was just, man, oh, the feels.
Yeah, it was good. I thought the kids did a pretty good job for being child actors.
Yeah. All right, so what do you guys say we jump into the scenes of this movie? And let's start off with the beginning. Seems like the appropriate place to start. Or we find,
I'd like to start.
Yeah. We find mom starting her day while everyone else sleeps. Wakes up dad and the kids. She wakes up dad by saying, "Your shower's ready," because apparently he's not capable of starting his own shower.
That's a thing.
I mean, what? If I could get my wife to do that, I would, I guess.
Get my shower going.
Woman, if you loved me, you would get the shower ready. I know you're listening to this podcast. I don't really mean that. Don't do that.
I can't even be bothered with starting my own water in the shower.
Well, I gotta wait like 12 seconds for it to warm up.
Ooh, gross.
But he goes
Cold
in,
water.
he goes in the bathroom and there's just this wall of steam. Like, how long has this water been going and how hot is that water? And then, and then just bad writing. He gets in the shower with his pajama pants still on.
I
noticed that. And is it because he's like sleep drunk and he just wanders in there and then he throws them over the side?
Here's the thing that popped in my head on this was they wanted him to walk into the shower naked. And he was like, I don't want to show my butt on camera. Like, what if he had like a giant pimple on it? And he was like, you guys, like, we can't do that. Like, so like, what a great way to get into the shower and then be like, oh man, I got in the shower with my pants on.
Oh, how hilarious.
That's super funny. But also
He
because he had a giant pimple on his butt.
He should have had a towel wrapped around him. And you get in the shower and then you put the towel over the side. I mean, that would have made more sense.
Yeah.
Not that I've ever done that.
Right.
I walked to the shower straight from the bedroom naked and pissed my wife off.
The other thing that of this whole good morning scene that caught my attention, Mom Carolyn goes in and says, "Good morning, baby," and the baby's already in the crib with a bottle in their hand.
Yeah. Well, how'd that happen?
Yeah.
Was that a thing in the 80s? You put babies to bed with a bottle?
Maybe the baby go help itself.
Yeah.
I mean, in 83, I was one.
Yeah. Did you have a bottle in your crib?
I don't know. I could have. I'd have to ask my mom.
But it kind of goes, this opening scene kind of goes to show that Carolyn has the morning down as a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
She does. She's got the groove.
The other thing, though, it cements for me right from the get-go is that the director has no idea what families are actually like. Because someone thought, you know what, babies, would have a bottle. No one said that doesn't make sense.
Right.
No one.
The baby needs a bottle. It's already going to have one.
Its teeth are going to rot out.
From here, we go down to breakfast. Dad shows up in his buttoned-up suit. Mom in jeans and a sweatshirt. And I got to say, this is probably a moment that kind of probably cemented myself very early in my childhood. Because I have always had an appreciation for a woman in jeans. And I kind of wonder if this started it. Because, dang, she looked good.
It could have been, yeah. And I'm right there with you.
Were they 1980s high-waisted jeans?
Of course, with a Michigan sweatshirt over top, looking super casual, but still so damn hot.
Terry Gar could make a burlap sack look hot.
That's the itchiest kind of sack.
I'll do the scratching.
The other thing it stood out to me in this scene, and this is the first moment I caught it, but it bugged me throughout the rest of this movie. And it just started spotting them all over the place. This movie is chock-a-block full of product placements.
It is.
And they're just everywhere. And so in this scene alone, we see Reynolds Wrap. We see Gerber Formula. We see Chex, Toshiba. I mean, they just cram these brand names in everywhere they possibly can. In the 1980s, there was early 80s, there was just a boom in product placement. And do you know what movie really kicked that off?
No.
It's one of your favorite movies, Brian.
One of my favorites?
Ooh.
E.T., the Extraterrestrial.
Oh, the Pepsi.
No, and Reese's Pieces.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
For those who don't know,
hate that movie.
Brian hates aliens.
I hate E.T. I would have left him in the creek. I'd have smashed his head with a rock.
Let's get into it.
No, I'm not unpacking anything here. Not today.
But no, I mean, but
that's my next choice for my movie.
But in this instance, in E.T., Reese's Pieces and Hershey's paid nothing for that placement. The makers of the film, Steven Spielberg, put it in there because it was a real thing. It was a real thing kids would have, and it was a kind of added moment of reality. But in turn, Reese's Pieces sales jumped 65%.
Wow.
And Hollywood took note, and as did the advertisers. And so suddenly it became more profitable to advertise your products by putting them in movies.
Yeah.
And so on top of it, you had the Reagan era, which ushered in a wave of pro-consumerist sentiment, as well as deregulation and branding as a lifestyle. And so this mindset kind of seeped into entertainment, and these products really became cultural shorthand.
You still see that today.
You do.
Mostly with vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
I remember there was a 007 movie.
Yeah, with Aston Martins.
With the Aston Martins, but then they replaced it with the BMW.
Oh, yeah. That was a big deal.
Oh, they marketed the heck out of that.
Mm-hmm.
I was caught with one. In fact, I drive the Skyfall edition of the Telluride. Yeah.
Did you buy it because of that?
I'm a sucker. No, honestly, I've not even seen that.
It was just the one that you got.
It's just the one that I got. Yep.
With a neat story.
It was on the lot.
The other thing, so from this breakfast, those little moments that they try to fit in for humor. You had Dad using baby formula as a coffee creamer substitute. Really?
How long has that stuff been sitting out?
I mean, if it was breast milk, I could see it. But,
Nothing.
It's pretty tasty.
Nothing better in coffee than that. Holy
Right.
smokes.
I mean, let's also establish that baby bottle's been out for who knows how long.
right.
You know?
Yeah.
Gross.
It'd give you the bubble guts.
Bad idea.
The other thing, man, Jack seems like a decent guy. What a bad dad joke teller.
Okay, here's a joke of the day. What's green and rides through the west?
The long pickle.
Okay, they're on to me, hon.
We're all on to you, honey.
I mean, even for a dad joke, that's awful.
It's terrible.
I mean, that's a bad dad joke.
I imagine either one of you probably have a better dad joke at the ready right now.
I mean, what? That doesn't, like, come on, man. Like, it doesn't even, like, go with it. The lone pickle?
Where does the Lone Ranger take his trash?
Where?
To the dump, to the dump, to the dump, dump, dump.
Now, see that.
Oh, there you go.
That I can get behind.
Yeah, that's a good dad joke.
Hell
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. No, but the lone pickle, that doesn't even make sense. Like, it doesn't even go with the Lone Ranger.
No.
Bad dad joke.
Yeah.
Way to go.
And they'd heard it before because
Well,
they knew it.
They heard it a lot.
Yeah.
And again, somebody wrote this. Someone who obviously was not a dad wrote that. And they thought that was going to pass as a dad joke.
Right.
That's not even, it's just a bad joke.
Yeah.
You know, and like it's funny that like the whole thing is like, oh, the bad dad jokes, you know, but the bad dad jokes are still funny jokes.
Yeah.
This wasn't funny. This wasn't funny at all. The
No.
lone pickle. Give me a break.
You know, guys, I always like to keep cheese in stock for emergencies,
Yeah.
Oh, why's that?
just in case so.
I didn't want to laugh at it, but I chuckled. I did a little.
The cue card said pause for laughter.
So now that we've departed breakfast, Jack is on his way to work, and he gets in his the carpool where Jeffrey Tambor's there and Christopher Lloyd's there, and man, what a bunch of sad sacks that are in this car.
You know, so the first thing that came to my mind on this was like in today's age, in 2025, does anyone carpool anymore? Anyone?
I don't know.
Like, what an interesting concept today.
Yeah. Okay. So when I was younger and I lived in Washington, D.C., they had carpool lanes. So it was an extra lane on the interstate, but only for people who were carpooling. And that lane was only for like 4+ people in a vehicle.
Yeah.
Recently, coming back from Alabama, I drove through Nashville and they had a carpool lane.
A high occupancy vehicle lane.
They sure do, yeah.
2+ people in the vehicle.
You know what's great? So whenever I used to drive down to pick up my kids, on the way there I couldn't use it, but on the way back
you could. But you know, yeah. To answer your question about carpooling, it's gone from 4 to 2.
Yeah, for sure. But like, but seriously though, like who, like I mean, there's a lot of people that work remotely, right? Like my job is 99.9% work from home. I know, Brian, you work outside of the home, and Seth, you work from home, but you travel to locations and do those things. But like, I'm thinking about that, and I'm like, this doesn't work in 2025.
You know, I think back then in '83, they were still scared from the gas crisis.
Yeah. It was a different time.
And it was a different time. And I think people did carpool a lot back then.
I'm sure they did, yeah. But I was just like, in the moment, I was thinking about it today. I'm like, does anyone even carpool anymore? If anybody out there is listening that does,
good for you.
Like, throw it in the comments.
Yeah,
like,
that's awesome.
yeah, me and my best friend, we work together and we drive to work together. Like, let us know, because that's really interesting. I'd love to know if anyone's actually carpooling with someone that they work with.
I drive a car that has a third row seating. And the first time that the back seat has been used in months. was when I picked you guys up from Justin's house to drive 1 block over to Brian's house.
We're lazy. Pick me up. I've been drinking.
It's interesting. On my way to work, I pass 2 different share a ride lots where you can park your car.
Yeah, that used to be a thing. Is that still a thing?
There's only like 1 or 2 cars in it.
Oh, what a sad place for
it is.
Like you could put a McDonald's on that lot.
You could.
I mean, I see those lots, and now I don't know. I just always assume that's where you abandon a car with a dead body in the trunk.
Either that or make drug deals.
You know what? Like either one of those would work. Like nobody would suspect a thing. Like you could leave your car there forever and nobody's ever going to look at it.
Memo to self.
Indeed.
Boy, that guy works a lot.
He's always working. Don't look inside the trunk.
But back to the carpool. Man, everyone in this car seems to know that bad shit's on its way.
Yep.
They all, work for the same failing car company. And which at least this part of the movie does seem to kind of tap into the zeitgeist and tap into what was going on at the time. In 1983, Detroit, which I guess we haven't said it outright, but this movie takes place in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point in time, the auto industry was kind of in crisis. And as an extension, the economy of Detroit was kind of in a bit of a tipping point.
Yeah, a little bit of a recession.
Yeah. And U.S. automakers at this point had really been being pummeled by Japanese automakers who are making more affordable cars, making more fuel-efficient cars, and U.S. automakers decided, hey, let's double down, and we're going to make bigger cars, and we're going to make more feature-loaded cars. And, so the big 3, GM, Ford, Chrysler, they went into modernization and they brought in more robots and they brought in all these things to make things faster. And that also resulted in a lot fewer jobs.
Yeah.
And so, that part, I'll give them credit. They got that right.
Yeah.
This was a time where there was a lot of trepidation.
Yeah, it was historically accurate for the times.
So they get to work. And we learn, Jack works on the floor, or he's an engineer for this car manufacturer. They don't say what the car manufacturer is. No. It doesn't really matter. In my mind, I've already have in my picture of who he works for.
Who does he work for?
He works for the manufacturers of the SUX 9000.
Oh, a little RoboCop.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, nice. I like that.
I mean, same place, same time.
Well, RoboCop would be many years later.
No, not that many.
It was made in 87, but it wasn't set later than that. It was like...
it was made in 87, but I think it insinuates that it's sometime in the future.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in my mind, I've decided that Mr. Mom is a prequel to RoboCop.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It made the rest of the movie more entertaining anyway.
So you had mentioned earlier, offset, that... maybe Jack was RoboCop.
No, I wasn't thinking Jack was RoboCop, but you have in Detroit in RoboCop, you have the giant manufacturing company. What's that? Was CWP, OMP?
OCP.
OCP.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. Down with OCP.
Right.
Yeah, you know me.
Hey, who's to say Jack didn't make his way over there? Yeah.
I like to think that Jack ended up becoming the old man.
Ooh. Mm-hmm. They never name the old man. He's just the old man.
He's just the old man.
He could be Jack Butler.
And you know what? That kind of makes sense because whenever I saw Jack on the floor with all the workers, like the people that were doing their stuff, I was like, he's not a bad boss.
No, he's trying to relate.
He's a pretty good boss. He got Rocky wrong.
He did.
Yeah.
Like horribly wrong. And they knew it. But they also didn't give him too much shit.
Right.
They were just kind of like, whatever.
We're just happy he's talking to us like people.
But he wasn't a bad guy.
No.
And then the old man in RoboCop, he didn't turn out to be too bad of a guy either.
No, he wasn't a bad guy.
Yeah.
He wasn't a great guy.
Well,
let's be real.
Well,
nobody in RoboCop was
maybe he wasn't
guy.
a really good manager of people.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Once you get up in those levels,
right.
your priorities change.
Yeah, right.
And so do your directives.
But while Jack's here on the floor, he does check in with the guys on the line, and he's like, "Hey guys, why are you so down?"
Hey, we ain't worried about the lions. What we're worried about is the line.
Hey man,
Lines? Yeah, unemployment lines, welfare lines, food lines, you know, all those lines. Lines.
This reminded me of working at the steel mill.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like the kind of that relationship between the union guys and the corporate guys, you know, and the corporate guys would come down and try to relate to you, and you gave them a whole bunch of shit until they just ran away.
Yeah.
You know, like it was kind of along those same
They would
lines.
try to relate, but they would miss the mark.
They sure would.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
Yeah, but he's
They didn't
trying.
get it.
Jack tries so hard.
He
You know, he's
does,
telling us like,
yeah.
"Hey guys, you know, I just watched Rocky, and you know,
Yeah, he's
blah,
trying
blah,
to motivate
blah.
him. Yeah.
You know, and when you're down, you're not necessarily out."
Mm-hmm.
And you know, then he gets called off to the office, and all the guys are like, "Man, he was full of shit."
Exactly.
But I gotta but let me ask you from your experience at the steel mill, if someone from management came down and was kind of trying to shoot the shit, would you at least give him credit for trying?
I mean, there were certain bosses that we did talk to on the regular, you know, and there were some that came down and you could see right through it. And you knew that those guys that came down were only talking to you to give you something to do. You know, you could see through that kind of stuff. But there were some of those bosses out there that you could really relate to. And that's what I thought Jack was. He wasn't like, he didn't come down there to talk to him to give him extra stuff to do. Like, he just wanted to try to relate to him and keep the line going. And, you know, to me, he wasn't a bad leader. Like, he was really trying to kind of pump up these guys in what is a really bad situation. And kind of like, you know, like ease the tension of what's coming in this auto industry in 1983. But yeah, like I didn't see him as somebody who came down and was like, "Hey, best friends, now go do all this work." You know, he just wasn't that guy.
Yeah.
When you're down, you're not necessarily out. You know, I mean, you gotta hang tough.
He's just a man trying to.
He was using all the correct buzz phrases.
He was just a guy trying to motivate his people. That's all.
That's how I took it too.
So Jack gets called up to the office to meet with Jinx, and finds out everybody's getting canned. Everyone in the carpool except for Jeffrey Tambor just got the axe.
Mm-hmm.
You fired these guys after all they contribute, Jack. Ah, don't jack me. After the support, Jack. Oh, man, after the devotion they gave you, you're fired too. Now, you fired me. I'm fired? You son of a...
And it was Doc Brown that was choking the guy out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I love it even after that. After everything settles down, it's like, you know, I don't want to quit. I want disability. And he tries to jump out the window.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
What's interesting, on the car ride to work, they asked him if they were getting canned, and he said no.
Oh, Jeffrey.
But he knew that the answer was yes.
And you know, because he liked splitting gas money 4 ways.
Oh,
He
yeah.
sure did. Yeah.
But then, you know, as you know, he tries to refund their gas money. Like, this is going to be, sorry you got fired, or I'm sorry, furloughed.
Right.
But here's your share of the gas money back.
And not only did he have bills, but he also had change. Like,
I mean, he planned this out.
Right. Like, you're going to evenly split this between you 3 guys. And there's like $25 for you. So go have fun.
So after this, Jack goes home, and you know, he rides home in the taxi with his fellow fired buddies, and he gets out of the car. You could tell that they have been drinking
A little.
maybe more than a little. Mom and kids are waiting for him to come in the door. They're all dressed in their Sunday's best, ready to greet him, and they know that he got fired. And man, they are just so supportive.
Yeah.
You know what I love about this scene? They were telling the youngest kid, like, don't say anything, you know, and he's like, "Oh, we heard you got fired." And he's like, "Ah, man, yeah, I sure did." And my favorite part of it, he says, "You're not a bum, are you?" And he goes, "No, but I'm working on it."
Now, this was one of those other moments that really stood out to me. Like, there's no freaking way this would happen today. That, you know, because he didn't call his wife. He did not know that his wife and kids knew that he got fired, which means he didn't check in with them.
He may have called him afterwards. I mean, it didn't show it in the movie, but I thought maybe he did because they knew.
He seemed shocked that they knew.
Oh.
Well, how would she have known?
I'm guessing maybe one of the other wives told her.
It could be.
But he, the fact that he went off drinking with his buddies for apparently the entirety of the day, you're not going to finish off, your work day. You got canned.
So let's pretend that,
and he's still home after dark.
Let's pretend the three of us work at the same company, the
Uh-huh.
same department.
Yeah.
And we all get fired on the same day.
Yeah.
What are the three of us going to go out and do to commiserate or celebrate our recent firing?
I think that all depends on the severance package.
Now, do you just go straight home? Like, is it like, man, this sucks, I'm going home?
If it's the three of us, I'd like to think we wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'd like to think we would stop by a watering hole or two or three.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those things. Like if it's completely out of my control and I did nothing wrong and it's really the company's fault.
Right.
Then maybe I could see, going out, having a few beers, and then coming home, though preferably before anyone else would be home. But if I am at any degree at fault for my dismissal, damn straight, I'm heading straight home because there's going to be a shitstorm waiting for me.
Right.
And I probably deserve it.
Yeah.
Well, if all three of us got fired on the same day, it's not our fault.
No, I mean,
if we worked at the same company,
I don't know about that.
That could definitely be our fault.
I don't know. Maybe they listen to the podcast.
Gentlemen, can you step in my office, please?
We're going to need to have a talk with HR involved.
Oh, hey guys, they want to hear that joke again.
Don't do it. Don't say it.
Yeah.
Just in case so?
Just in case so.
That's not the one.
But anyway, so the family though is supportive, and they're for dinner tonight. They're having a special dinner, Colonel Chicken.
Colonel Chicken.
Now, my wife was like, "Does that mean they're having KFC?"
They couldn't get that sponsor,
and I thought that until later we do see a KFC bucket.
Oh, there's maybe a Colonel Chicken.
Is
there a Colonel Chicken?
I don't know.
Well, I think in the early 80s, KFC was known as the Colonel's Chicken.
Yeah, Colonel Sanders, sure.
Yeah, so by saying...
I've never heard anyone refer to KFC as Colonel Chicken.
I think many people back then probably did.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm assuming, because it was grossly assumed it was KFC, but I don't remember when I was a kid being called KFC.
It was Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah, It was Kentucky Fried Chicken, or maybe in some places it was called the Colonel's Chicken.
So
it could be maybe brands have different names. Different. You used to have. Think about Hardee's, man. It was like Star and Uncle Carl's or Carl's Jr.
Carl's Jr. Yeah,
Uncle Carl sounds creepy.
Yeah, maybe it's one of those regional things. Is it soda? Is it pop? Is it Coke?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Cold drink.
Cold bubbly.
I just saw a TikTok the other day where she called it cold drink, and it doesn't matter if it's actually cold or what kind of soda it is. It's just called cold drink.
That's dumb.
That's Louisiana.
Take a liter of cola.
We don't have a liter of cola.
But after dinner, Jack and Carolyn are talking, and he's like, we're in decent shape, and we've got this, and I've made some calls, and she's like, well, what if I did too? And talking about how she's had a couple years experience and she has a college degree, and that she's gonna put her name out there as well to see if she can get a job. Yeah. And Jack, man, this is one of the moments that I actually found Jack to not to be a likable character.
Right.
Oh, yeah, with the bet.
Yeah, because he makes 100-to-1 bet that he will get a job before her.
Right.
And I get, on one hand, I can understand. Maybe he's trying to, not upset the women folk in a way, and doesn't want to show that he's not confident about his situation. But man, he overcompensates by being such a douche.
He does, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was like an ego moment.
Has your phone been ringing off the hook?
Oh, no, Jack.
You
but
think you're going to get a job before I do?
Oh, Jack, this isn't a contest.
No, hon, this will be good. This is a good idea. We'll make it a contest. It'll be fun. I'll bet you 100 to 1.
Oh.
You don't get a job before I do. Okay? Come on, doll face. Give me $1.
Yeah, he was a dick.
Yeah. I mean, and I get, in the terms of real world, he is definitely probably more marketable than she is.
In 1983.
In 1980, honestly, real world, any world, now today even. I mean, she has, by her own admission, she has like 2 years experience.
Yeah.
She has a college degree. So would anyone else in the advertising and marketing world. And she's got an 8-year gap in her resume.
I mean, yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong. For sure.
You know? So, I mean, realistic terms, I mean, yes, he's the safe money. But man, God.
Yeah, he was like, this is one of those conversations that, like, afterwards you would think about it as a man and be like, why did I say that?
Yeah.
You know, like, why did I talk to my wife that way? That was stupid. That was, I shouldn't have done that, right? Like, that's one of those that you go back and apologize for. Even if she doesn't look mad in the moment, you pissed her off.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, she's sandbagging that.
Oh, yeah. So you got to come up front and be like, listen, like, I was wrong.
I think part of it too is he was trying to make himself feel better.
Yeah.
You know, it was as a blow to his pride. And I got a little hint that maybe they were scared about the future. What are we going to do now?
Well, I mean, I think he understands the reality of his situation.
Right.
You know, he's an automotive engineer in a town where the automotive industry is in bad shape.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his prospects aren't super great. But man, why do you gotta be like that, Jack?
Right.
And it makes me wonder, like, was it so much different in 1983 to 2025? Because if I, like, me as a man, as a husband, if I'm feeling insecure about something, I talk to my wife about it. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not trying to sound new age or whatever, but we have conversations about those things. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
We're like, is it that much different in 1983?
I don't know. Were men able to be vulnerable in 1983?
I don't know. But, you know, shocker, as if the synopsis of the movie didn't give it away. Mom gets a job.
You won. A bet's a bet.
Jack, I don't take bets, and I don't want your money. Look, aren't you being a little hard on yourself?
No, it's fine.
I mean, you have applied to everything on wheels from Toyota to Schwinn. You're going to get a job any day now. Really.
So this is where I had my first, like, what the hell just happened moment.
Yeah.
Because they were going along, and he's like, oh, I'm going to win this bet, and you're not going to win, I am. And then it cuts, and she's got a job. Yeah, and I'm like, what happened to the timeline here?
Well,
how much time has passed?
Exactly. And that's what's not clear.
Right.
You know, because
and there are multiple times through this movie where the passage of time is not clear.
It's so awful.
I'm measuring time by the growth of his beard.
Well,
that's the only time you can tell.
Right.
You know, my wife just got a new job.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, her process, I mean, it was actually, honestly, one of the easier hiring processes I've seen in terms of the expediency of it. And it still took a month.
Yeah.
So assuming, you know, man, someone with an 8-year gap on the resume put resumes out that day and got a nibble like the next day, it would still probably be a month before she'd start a job.
Yeah. I mean, I just took a new position at the same company, and it still took me almost 2 months to get there. And I'm still not there yet. You know what I mean? Like, I don't start for another couple of weeks. So, like, this was like a snap, and it was like, I bet you I'm going to win. And then it was like, snap. And she's got one. And it's like, you didn't explain anything that happened here. So we'll get into it later about my feelings on Jack being a stay-at-home dad. But how much time passed between him losing his job and her just being able to pick one up?
I mean, at minimum, it's weeks. An absolute minimum, it's got to be several weeks.
Right.
Which makes the rest of this movie, or this next act of the movie anyway, even less plausible for me. You've had several weeks to get up to speed between the point you got fired and the point of your wife going out the door for her brand new job.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, what have you been doing, Jack?
Exactly.
So we're referencing his total lack of ability to do any housework whatsoever.
Exactly.
Because, in those 2, 3, however many weeks, you'd think he'd learn something by osmosis.
Well,
right, exactly.
Even if it wasn't osmosis, at a certain point, they're going to know, hey, Carolyn's going to know, I got a job. You haven't. I'm going to be doing this thing. So here, for the next few days anyway, I'm going to put you through boot camp or something to bring you up to speed.
Well, and also it's 1983, and we're not doing virtual interviews. So when she's gone doing interviews, what is he doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
it wouldn't have made such a funny movie.
It wouldn't have, no.
Trying to show that he was thrust into the household duties.
Well, the cut was abrupt enough to thrust him into it, for sure.
It was, yeah. So there was a big plot hole with the time there. I get it. Yeah.
But in this moment that she's trying to get out the door, she is going over the list of things that he needs to know about it, as if he's never had to parent a moment in his life up to this point, giving him things like, don't let the baby sit in dirty diapers.
Right.
Who doesn't know that?
Who would?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's okay. So this is the crux of my major issue with the movie.
Okay.
Like I stated earlier, we're all 3 domesticated dads.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's a different time, but I think back to my father at that time. There were times where he would get up with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
There were times where he would run the vacuum. There were times where he did the dishes. I used to love Sunday mornings because my dad would cook breakfast.
Yeah.
So the men in my life knew how to do these things.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, I guess it's for the movie, for movie magic and for funniness.
Right.
He didn't know anything, but that was not true to what my life was like in 83.
And for
it
mine
wasn't true to
either.
mine either, right?
Yeah.
There was there was about a 3-year stretch, and it was later than 83. It had been late 80s, early 90s. My mom went to seminary, and she went to seminary in Indianapolis. And so it was she had to drive there, and she would go there for basically Monday through Thursday. And so there would be three or 4 days a week where my dad was a single parent. And we ate a lot of mac and cheese, and we had a lot of spaghetti during those times. But we ate, and he was there, and he was participating, and he still had a job.
Yeah.
He was still working the 9 to 5. So this whole idea, I don't know. It just doesn't connect with my personal reality from that time. So
I agree. And that's my major issue with the movie.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But anyway, so, she's out the door, and, basically he's left on his own.
Look, now, take it easy on Daddy. Remember, he's a rookie.
Bye, Mom.
Bye, honey.
Mommy,
Yes.
it's a jungle out there.
He's the rookie. I like that little dig, though, because he is, apparently.
Yeah, has no clue what he's doing. So she's off to work. Thanks, Jack, for the loan of his briefcase, which I felt was a very symbolic thing. It was like the passing of the torch, the briefcase.
Yeah, I agree.
So she's off to do her thing, and now Jack is being tossed into the fire. And the first trial by fire we get to see is driving the oldest kid to school.
Yeah.
I could relate to this.
I could relate to.
The idea, because, man, I don't know if you guys drop how things were at your kids' schools.
Uh-huh.
There are some damn crazy people in that drop-off system.
There is. And there's also a very particular set of rules for every drop-off.
Oh, yeah.
And if you disobey any of them, I wrote down, the drop-off moms are brutal.
Oh, they are.
They are.
And I related to that so much because, at the time, like whenever I was personally laid off and I was in charge of all those things, my first day was similar. Not, movie similar, but it was anxiety, and it was like, am I doing the right thing? And like the movie really really encapsulated the same anxiety that I had on that first drop off.
I remember I'm asking a 7-year-old, is this the right lane I should be in? It's like, how the heck would they know?
Mom would know.
Right?
You know?
Yeah. For my daughter's elementary school, at least 4 to 5 times a year, they would email out the procedures for pickup and drop off.
Right, because everybody messed it up.
Well, yeah, because it will only take one person to fuck it up for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, traffic jam.
Yeah. But man, yeah, so he is driving the kids down the road, and as he's driving down the road, just in the proximity of the school, cars behind him are honking.
Mm-hmm.
Like at this point, he isn't doing anything wrong.
Right.
But again, it was just they wanted to cement the fact that
heighten the anxiety of dropping the kids off for the first time.
And but yeah, there's clearly one system way of doing it. The kids are warning him, this isn't the right way. This is how you're supposed to do it. And Jack's like, I don't care. This is just the way it makes more sense. And he makes his own path and finds out he's doing it wrong.
Why are they all honking?
Because you're doing it wrong.
Tell me I'm doing it wrong. I know how to do this.
That's a typical dad.
Yeah.
Like, don't tell me I'm doing it wrong. I know what I'm doing.
I've been guilty of that before.
For sure.
Yeah. Right.
Absolutely.
The specifics are murky in this instance, but overall, it is a pretty realistic idea.
That one is, yeah. I agree 100%. They started off the dad duties pretty strong at this point. And it was like, yeah, I can relate to that. Like, the drop-off situation sucks.
It's a lawless fucking jungle.
It's terrible. There's so many laws, it makes it confusing.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it comes down to. And I could relate to that for sure.
Then you have so many drop-off Karen moms.
Oh, they're the worst.
That are just, slack.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I picked up my daughter from school the other day. As I'm pulling out, the car next to me gave me the goddamn finger.
This is a grade school.
Oh, this is, essentially intermediate school, middle school, but picking up a 6th grader. I'm trying to make a left-hand turn, and apparently I somehow did something wrong enough to offend the car next to me. They honked and put their arm out the window and gave me the finger.
Oh, you got the bony, we're number one.
Yes.
It'd have been more funny if they'd rolled down the window and said, "You're doing it wrong."
On the flip side, though, mom's having her first day at work. She refers, and we find out very quickly that her relationship with the boss is not the norm.
No,
because she makes a reference to the boss as Ron, and the executive assistant, whoever she is, it's not really made clear. Is like we don't call him Ron.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently he told her, "Call me Ron," which might be how she got hired and hired so quickly.
Pretty.
Because she's eye candy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very excited to be going back to work, especially here with Ron.
Ron? And who would Ron be?
Oh, Ron Richardson.
Everyone here at the Richardson Franco Agency calls him Mr. Richardson.
Well, he asked me to call him Ron.
And when was that? In what context?
In the context of my interview at lunch.
Lunch?
Oh, not only an interview, but at lunch.
Yeah, and is it just me? Is there just a little combativeness there? Because first, the lady, such a snooty little accent for Detroit.
Right.
Oh, when would that be?
Well, it's like Carolyn knew she had to be fierce in this world she was going into.
Because it's a jungle out there.
It's a jungle out there.
And she did have 2 years of experience.
She had 2.
Yeah.
And a degree.
Which I guess honestly is probably enough. If it's an industry this full of dirtbags, you'd pick up on it pretty quickly.
I mean, yeah, and especially
if you're that hot.
Right.
Yeah. But but Carolyn, throws a bit of attitude there. It's like at lunch.
Carolyn,
I love the fact how Carolyn sticks up for herself.
Yeah, Carolyn's hot shit.
She got some backbone.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Carolyn's first day.
Mm-hmm.
First day working in advertising for 8+ years. And she is immediately brought into the boardroom, which is, again, chock-a-block full of product placements. Here we get to see Domino's Pizza, KFC, Dunkin' Donuts, McDonald's. What the hell are these people eating? at this meeting.
It's early in the morning.
It's the morning.
And that room was full of smoke.
It was.
I mean,
was.
You could cut it with a knife. It was full of
Holy
smoke.
cow.
And someone here needs to find a way to sell some tuna fish. Carolyn, because she's a mom, has no ability to control herself and starts picking up the mess.
Right.
And Ron has to, the snooty comments made is like, we have people to do that.
Right.
But she's asked to provide her fresh opinion on the campaigns. Again, despite it being her first day.
In the boardroom, I got real Big vibes. You know the movie Big, when he goes into the executive meeting?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know enough to not know what not to say.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
And he's like, I don't get it.
Yeah. I don't get that.
So it's a building that turns into a robot? Who would want to play with that?
Who'd want to play with a building? So, yeah, I got that vibe that she just doesn't know enough about that workplace culture just to not say what's on her mind.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, frankly, none of this stuff would influence me, all right?
Come on, Ron. She doesn't know her tuna fish from a Cheerio.
Damn good thing we don't have the Cheerio account.
Why would a Detroit advertising firm be handling a tuna account? Tunas don't grow and don't swim in Lake Michigan, do they?
They don't grow there either.
I got my tuna field.
It's a beautiful tuna. I mean, everything born grows.
I don't know. I guess it's just where whatever firm picks up the account or bids on the account and gets the account.
I mean, I have no doubt that Detroit was certainly a big town for advertising, but advertisers and clients like to work with advertisers, advertising companies that are convenient, that are close. They could be at their beck and call.
Brake pads.
I mean, that's right. Detroit advertisers or advertising firms would be working with the auto industry and working with auto part manufacturers and things along that line, not, tuna companies.
So was this an actual tuna company?
Schooner Tuna? No,
that was a fake company.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then why tuna? Like there could have been so many other things they could have chosen. I wonder why they did choose tuna.
But why not? I mean, it kind of tapped into her domesticated experience.
I wonder,
but of all the products on the shelf at a grocery store, I mean, it feels weird that they picked tuna.
Well, if it would have been saltine crackers, we'd be sitting here going, of all the things in the store, why,
That's true.
Why saltine
That's true.
crackers?
Here's what I'm thinking though, is like they could have placed that in the beginning when she had her like good running household, and she could have been like, "Oh, we're having tuna for dinner," and I bought and you didn't have to necessarily say like I bought schooner tuna,
yeah,
but you could have said we're having tuna casserole for dinner tonight. Like some little plug in there for tuna, like. Just what was the point?
Just a little subtle foreshadowing,
of
maybe.
Tuna.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think that much into it but talking about it now I do. But there could have been something like, why did you choose tuna to be the thing that she wants to advertise for?
I don't know.
That's a good question for the writers.
Yeah.
They didn't do a great job with everything else, so why would they do a great job with the product?
In 1983, every homemaker loves tuna.
Tuna.
That's what we're going to sell.
Are these Kotex Maxi Pads on special?
Never mind, sorry, forget it.
Kotex, 19 cents off.
Thanks.
I gotta say, this is the most infuriating scene in the whole movie for me. Dad at the grocery store.
Oh, I hate it so much.
Yeah.
Apparently, Dad has no idea how a grocery store works.
Took the words out of my mouth.
Asking toddlers where the eggs are.
Mm-hmm.
Although, in fairness, why are eggs always under the dairy section?
Because they set that in the furthest part, the furthest part of the store away from the entrance. So you have to walk through all the other products to get to it.
I forget which grocery store I was at. It wasn't that long ago. They always have they put the big signs on the perimeter of the store that you could see from wherever you're at to see what things are at.
Mm-hmm.
And it said dairy, but next to it there was a chicken. I don't think that's right.
Maybe a cow.
A cow I could see, but it was chicken. It was a chicken next to where the word dairy.
Okay, so talking about the grocery store scene, how frustrating is it? Have you been to the grocery store when they've moved the aisles around.
Oh, it's the worst.
Oh yeah,
It is, and you feel lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
See-
I could see a little bit of the frustration and
A
the
little
confusion,
bit.
but yeah, it was a little over the top.
It was, yeah. Like, I mean, do you never go for, like, even if you've never, like, done, like, the full-on grocery shopping, if, like, say your wife is cooking Thanksgiving or, like, cooking a big meal or something, like, or cooking any meal, like, on a Tuesday, and she's like, oh, my gosh, I don't have X.
Yeah.
Can you run to the store while I'm cooking and go pick this up? And he never even did that? Give me a break, man. Like,
And
you
the problem
should be
is-
able to navigate a store.
So my issue here isn't even that Jack had never been to a store. I don't think whoever was responsible for the final draft of the movie, the director or the editor of this movie, has ever been in a grocery store himself.
That's a problem.
Because there
too.
were so many things they crammed in and kept
Yeah.
that do not align with any grocery store experience I have ever had in my life.
Not one bit.
Like at one point, he's walking along and he slams carts with an old lady, and she scowls at him. I have the right of way. Since when did right of ways exist in grocery stores? It's not a four-way stop, lady.
No.
No, that's yeah.
It's whoever's the most courteous.
Right. And you know, I've never seen this personally in real life. Maybe you guys have. But the movie trope of taking a piece of product from the pyramid and they all fall down,
Yeah.
Mhm.
whether it's toilet paper from the display or it's cantaloupe, whatever.
Right.
I've never seen that happen.
Never once.
And
in my
multiple
life.
times. And this movie, they have that multiple times. And then the editing on top of it was so damn bad. There's one spot in particular where we have back-to-back shots of him pushing the shopping cart with the kids in it. Shot number one, the cart is pretty full.
Mhm.
Next shot, the cart is practically empty. In another spot, he turns a corner and he knocks over a stack of cans. In shot number one, we see him walking past an end cap full of just generic cola. But then when we go to the close-up of him turning the corner and spilling the cans, the end cap now says Pepsi. On top of it, in the wider shot number one, we don't see any cans around that corner because we got actually a decent shot of the aisle.
Yeah.
And so then when he comes around, it's like, where did these cans come from? And it was just, someone thought it was going to be funny.
Right.
And they did a really bad job of making it happen.
Yeah. I mean,
I agree with that.
and I can see that too. Like if you're doing like physical comedy, and like how hard would that be to take that more than one shot? You know what I mean? Like you almost need that camera to be like following him around and just be like, listen, we're going to do this in one shot. This one shot's all we got because we're not going to remember how everything falls at the same time. So you're going to have to move the camera around with it. Like that's all there is to it with on shots like that, you know.
And the technology was there. They could have done that. They could
Absolutely,
have Steadicam
yeah.
that. I mean,
Mhm.
Steadicam, as we talked about in previous episodes, got really big with Halloween.
Mhm.
Halloween was before this.
Right.
They had the means. They could have done something a little bit more fluid, but they didn't. But the worst part of this whole damn sequence, the meat counter.
May I have a half a pound of ham?
Boiled, baked, smoked, salt-cured, sugar-cured, prosciutto, or Westphalian.
All right, forget it. Just tell you what, just give me a half pound of salami.
Italian, kosher, hard pork, beef, koto, or what?
Just get bologna, mister.
Just get bologna.
I'll tell you what, just give me a quarter pound of cheese.
American blue cream, cottage, Gouda, Edam, provolone, Romano, Swiss. You have your entire cheddar family.
Can you run the hams back one more time? I just want
Why is the grocery store so busy?
Oh, I know.
Right.
In
And
the
they
middle-
are
in the middle of the day.
They are these old ladies are in his back pocket. Oh, they're so mad at the deli counter.
Oh, staring him down. They would stab him.
Yeah. I mean, I know that like at my deli counter, like I've shot some eyes at somebody
Yeah.
that's just taken way too long when they've already got the pre-cut self-service stuff off just like 10 feet away. And I'm like, you could get that over there.
Right.
You know, but like my thing is not over there and that's what I want. So I'm going to go get it. But I'm also going to have the wherewithal to be like, I need a pound of hard salami. Like, and that's it. Like, I don't like if I wanted cotto, I would say cotto. I want hard salami, and they know what I'm talking about.
Right.
Like, but if you're just like, I want ham.
Yeah,
like, there's so many varieties.
What bothers me here, there's just among the many things that bother me. I assume Carolyn probably put together the grocery list. And if she knew this was the things, she would have been specific to say,
for sure,
we need this kind of ham and this much. But when he doesn't understand the ham, so he's like, oh, fuck ham. Let's go to the next thing. I don't understand. So cheese. As if he doesn't know there's multiple kinds of cheese.
Right. Where you been, Jack?
The other thing, one of the other things that bother me here is I don't even think they shot this at a meat counter. Because behind the lady rattling off the 17 kinds of ham, it's nothing but bread.
I didn't even notice that, but that's hilarious.
Beyond the frustration of the meat counter, Jack has also major frustration because he has to pick up some Kotex.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And embarrassment at the checkout line, where we have Edie McClurg from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yep, yeah. as the cashier.
As the cashier, who is reciting out loud every possible item she can as she's scanning them through. Worcestershire sauce, lettuce, Kotex.
Could you imagine? Like, that would be a problem for me. Like, not that I'm buying things that I think are embarrassing. I don't care. Like, whatever I buy, I don't care. I don't find it embarrassing to buy feminine products.
Absolutely not, because it's not for me.
I think we've all done that.
Right. It doesn't.
Half of my pictures on my phone are of feminine products or cosmetics.
Right, because
to
you
make
need,
sure I need to get the right one.
You snap the picture of the one that she has, so you can go pick up the one that she needs. I don't have a problem with that, but
None.
My God, I would have slapped the lady for just reading out the name of everything she's scanning.
If that was how the lady at my grocery store worked, I would just periodically go and buy the most random, bizarre things.
Cucumber, personal lubricant,
razor
box
blades,
of condoms, duct tape,
zip ties. So
Roll?
what is the most embarrassing thing you ever bought at a store?
I'm not embarrassed by anything I've ever bought at a store, I don't think.
I mean, there's not much.
You know what? Okay, all right.
Are you talking grocery
one
store?
time, years and years ago, I bought a VHS copy of Spice World.
Okay, that'll do it.
Probably not proud of that at this point.
Okay.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd do it.
Yeah. I like that movie, though.
Do you really?
I do.
I mean, I can't fault you for liking something. I mean,
so did you watch that after or before Bring It On?
Oh, much before. Much before. I actually I saw Spice World in the theater.
Oh,
wow!
We have depth to this conversation.
I've said it once before. I'll say it again. I don't even know who you are anymore.
All right, I quit.
I mean, is it that big a shock? We were just having a debate off air about my favorite Miley Cyrus songs. So,
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
What makes that, for our listeners, what makes that really funny is Seth is a man's man. So having conversations about his favorite Miley Cyrus song or Spice World makes it that much more funny.
And for the record, see you again. Although Wrecking Ball brings a tear to my eye.
Although Brian and I absolutely remember it being Party in the USA.
And you remember wrong.
Put your hands up.
All right. But back to the grocery store. Amidst the embarrassment of buying Kotex, somehow Jack doesn't realize he's got the wrong damn kid in his shopping cart.
Yeah, how does that happen?
Right.
How does that happen?
Yeah.
And even though he has a baby in the shopping cart as well, he abandons the cart to go track down his toddler.
Mm-hmm.
And he takes the odd toddler with him and puts the odd toddler in someone else's cart.
It's not even
That's not even their kid.
Yeah.
All right. So, yes, realistically, there's no way this stuff happens. But as a viewer, it was kind of funny.
It was funny.
It was funny.
It
wasn't a realistic funny, but it was kind of funny.
What I wrote down at this point was, I hope they show Jack getting better at this. Because this was a lot.
Yeah.
And this was like a slap in the face to all dads. And I was like,
right.
Get your shit together, Jack. Like, this is bullshit.
Uh-huh.
And it started to kind of piss me off a bit.
Also at the grocery store, this is where we meet Joan.
There's your daddy. She's yours, and I'm Joan.
Hi, thanks.
Carolyn told me you'd be around.
Yeah.
Can I give you a hand?
You give me both of them. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Irv, clean up on aisle 7.
Irv, we were never in aisle 7. I'm telling you, honest.
All right, so where do we go from the grocery store?
So we go back home, and Mom comes home as well, and we have to continue the parade of Jack's incompetence. Giving the kids a bath apparently doesn't occur to him to take socks off. But Dad lets her take over. She tells him all about her first day, which apparently was horrible. But still apparently made enough of an impression that they're going to fly her out to a tour of the tuna factory the next day.
Yeah. Quick promotion there.
Yeah. It's not even a promotion at this point. It's just a tour, a flight with the boss.
I bet a tuna factory stinks.
I mean, this is your first day, though. You know what I mean? Like the board of executives are going to take you to this company, and you're getting how quick are you moving here? This is still day one of her in this job.
I mean, it's awfully dang quick.
It's super quick.
So the next day, those guys come around, and a limo shows up. Dad is supposed to tell Ron she's on her way, even though she looks completely ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
But he has to keep the boss waiting, which doesn't seem like the smart idea, but whatever, on your second day.
All right.
Ron's walking up to the door, and Jack bolts. I guess sees him, is intimidated, wants to show his bravado.
Oh, yeah, man up.
So he dashes off and to get a chainsaw and put on a pair of coveralls because that
were put on wrong.
Yeah, the overalls he was wearing were buttoned up wrong.
Yep.
On a beer? 7 o'clock in the morning.
Scotch?
Not during working hours. Oh, I'm sorry, pal.
No problem. Come on over here, Ron. Let me show you what I'm doing. Taking advantage of some of the time off to add a whole new wing on here. I'm going to rip these walls out and, of course, rewire it.
Yeah, you're going to make it all 220?
Yeah, 220, 221, whatever it takes.
You know, my favorite part about this, though, with him and his chainsaw is, he's sitting there, revving it and, trying to be real tough. And, the chain's not even moving.
Right.
I thought that was funny.
This isn't the only time in the 80s that we get an indoor use of a chainsaw.
No. I fixed the Knoll post.
Yep.
Yeah.
National Lampoons.
Yep.
Christmas Vacation. But generally speaking, indoor use of a chainsaw, not a good idea.
No, heck no.
Carbon monoxide poison, massive risk.
Battery powered for sure.
Maybe. Yeah, but that's just not. This is a 2-stroke chainsaw. Going to produce a shit ton of carbon monoxide and about 100 to 120 decibels of sound, which is about the equivalent of a jet taking off. So that's what of course you want to put in your house.
Yeah, indoors.
Yeah. So he, shows his bravado. They go off, or Carolyn comes down. She sees Jack looking like a complete moron.
Right.
I love the look she gives him. It's like, man, you are so full of shit.
Yeah. She knows.
Yep. And calls out, very nice outfit, honey. So then they head off.
How'd you like a little trim on that mustache, Ron?
They get on, they see him on Carolyn and Ron on the plane, and Ron is laying it on thick.
Oh, yeah. Well, first he flexed with that limo. Now he's flexing with that private jet. And I'm just like, man, this guy is...
He's a tool.
He is a tool, man. He's after something.
Yep. And, he says, we're going to be working a lot of long nights together. And I hope that won't be a problem.
Jack supports everything I do. As a woman, in my career, as an executive, he supports me.
And if we can agree that you are an executive, then you can stop cutting my steak.
There she is in the mom role.
Yeah, and they keep putting her in that, because a woman can't be more than one thing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that kind of behavior, like, she wouldn't do that.
No.
Like, no woman is going to go out and cut her boss's steak on a private plane because she's used to cutting up her kids' food. Like, give me a break, man.
Yeah, I mean, that was just, again, bad writing.
And we saw it before when she was picking up the trash off the conference table on her first day.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things. It's like they wrote it to be funny, but like sometimes the jokes just don't really land.
Right.
That one, like, it didn't add anything. It wasn't like, oh, yes, that's hilarious. It was like, man, you could have done without that.
Right.
Yeah,
it did make me think, oh, yeah, that's a mom on a private jet.
Right. Mom's cutting up steaks because they can't stop doing it.
Right.
Back at home, though, Dad is having his own adventure doing laundry. As if they haven't already made it clear, Jack has no idea what he's doing. And apparently he's also illiterate because he can't read instructions on the bottle.
Right.
He grounds up every bit of laundry in the house, crams it all into the washing machine at the same time.
Has to kick it in there.
And in our laundry room, which is once again full of product placements, we see Clorox, we see Tide, we see Borax, we see spray and wash. And he doesn't read the instruction on a single bottle.
Right.
And just makes his own little cocktail of things and throws it in.
Sure, it'll work.
Yeah, what could go wrong?
Right.
And
we're about to find out.
Yeah. And just as he does this, we suddenly get a slew of repair people showing up to the house.
You got a problem with your horizontal hold?
I don't know.
Your wife says you do.
Well, she ought to know.
I really liked the TV repair lady.
Yeah, she was great.
She was funny.
My question here is, in a movie about defined roles of the time, why would they have a woman be a TV repair person?
That's a good question.
Good thinking.
Yeah.
I didn't think it fit the narrative of the rest of the film.
I don't know, but
the exterminator and the plumber were both men.
Mm-hmm.
Why was the TV repair woman a woman?
Right. If we're spoofing on gender roles,
right,
that one was out of the box.
It sure was. Yeah. Interesting. I didn't even think about that.
All right. So, in addition to the TV repair people, who's there for the horizontal hold, which there's just a knob. That's all it takes. It's just a knob.
Mm-hmm.
But, we have the exterminator show up and the water heater person show up. And chaos is just breaking out everywhere. We've got a plant being knocked over, which provides our introduction to one of the additional characters of this movie that's probably worth talking about, Jaws.
The vacuum cleaner.
Yeah. Which apparently is possessed by the devil. If anyone, was curious, because it piqued my interest, the vacuum cleaner being featured here is a Kirby Classic 3.
Mm-hmm.
It was a popular model of vacuum from the 70s into the 80s. It's not self-propelled, but they sure as hell act like it is.
Well,
Right.
if the roller is spinning and it's on a certain surface, I wonder if that roller that's spinning moves it across the floor.
Maybe some.
Yeah.
Like inches maybe, but it's got a mind of its own.
It
just
does.
going everywhere. But in addition to, the vacuum going crazy, we've got the laundry machine, which was overloaded.
Pulled itself from the wall.
Because it's off balance because of the heavy load, has pulled itself off the wall to the point it breaks the hoses free, spraying water everywhere. It's just madness.
It is.
Kids burning chili.
So, amidst all this chaos, my favorite part of this whole thing is when the smoke detector goes off. Jack moves the pot of chili off the burner, and then he smacks the can of chili off the counter. Like, that's gonna do something. He's like, oh, like he's mad at it, and he just smacks it off the counter. And it had nothing to do with the pot of chili that was burning on the stove. But he just smacked it off. And I thought it was really funny.
Chaos ensuing everywhere, and somewhere along the way, the baby finds the can of chili, which apparently is just sets off another major issue.
You crazy? You fed a baby chili?
And everyone just runs out of there like a nuclear blast is about ready to go.
Yeah, we're getting out of this fun house.
I mean, they're and even then the action that follows underneath, having to, where does mom keep the extra diapers? How do you not know where the diapers are?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But it's not, how much chili did that kid get from that can?
So this is also where I put my note here is this only day 2? Is this only day 2? Like
only day 2.
Like this, there's so much stuff going on in the first 2 days, and it's like, it made you realize this is only day 2.
Oh yeah, it's spinning out of control.
It's chaos.
This is madness.
From here, though, he has a job interview, and so he's in the lobby waiting, to get interviewed. And there's 2 other men who are here who are apparently also in very similar Mr. Mom type situations. So they've embraced their situation a little bit more. They're exchanging recipes.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of my favorite parts.
How about roasted eggplant?
I don't know.
Well, does your wife like seafood?
Yeah, but seafood smells up the kitchen, and it can take hours to get rid of the odor. No, how about something simple?
Oh, I got a hamburger Wellington that's out of this world.
Well, great. Let me have it.
Okay, start with 2 pounds of ground round, lean and mean. Brown it in some butter.
Yeah.
Pardon me. Could you use margarine in that or butter?
Oh, no, well, butter's my personal choice.
Yeah, but butter can scorch.
Higgins, you're next.
Oh, why don't you go ahead and I'll go after you.
Well, you were here first.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. I have no place to go, and besides that, there's not a job available anywhere in this city.
Okay, Butler, I guess you're next.
I'd sure like to have a copy of that when I get back.
Sure.
Okay, drink off the excess fat.
So Jack is, I think, realizing the gravity of his situation in this moment, where these other guys are, know a little bit more than he does, and that hey, we're in this for the long haul.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think he's kind of having to wrap his head around that.
Yeah.
From here we go to Ron's house, though, for a bit of corporate fun
and a flex,
the absolute huge flex.
Okay, so Ron, the boss,
mm-hmm.
Caroline's boss, he has this party where he invites all the employees, and if I was a rich asshole, I would do the exact same thing. So he creates like this Olympics,
a field day.
Yeah. So there's like this obstacle course where the guys compete until there's a winner, and it's running and dodging and going over stuff and crawling through stuff, and it looked really cool. I would do so if I had that kind of money. I would totally set something like this up.
So this was also where I was like, why is there officiating this thing? There's guys in like referee outfits,
mm-hmm.
and they're blowing whistles at nothing. Like, right. What are they blowing the whistles at?
There are a couple things that come up prior to us getting into the games. It's just like dropped like, oh, whatever. That Carolyn earned her promotion.
Oh, right.
So Jack knows nothing about her getting a promotion.
And
right.
I did take a note on this. I'm like, okay, she got a promotion. So how much time has actually passed at this point?
It's done. Again, we don't know.
Because at this point, this is like day 3 in my mind. Like you've just...
I mean, we'll say that there's some compression here, and it might be weeks.
It could be, right? But like how quickly do you get that promotion?
But beyond that, she got a promotion and didn't tell her husband she got a promotion?
Exactly. That's pretty
odd. I think she was trying to save his pride. She didn't want him to know that she was succeeding.
I mean, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean...
But you'd think... I understand that to a point, but, you'd find some way to work it in. I mean, you're going to maybe deal it to him softly, but we did this, and by the way, I got a promotion. Hey, what do you want for dinner tonight?
Right. Or maybe just call it a raise.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hey, good news.
Hey, get more money coming in.
Right.
Like, it's almost to your salary that you had, like I'm getting there, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. Like, this is still the timeline where it's like, man, like, I don't know how much time has gone on here.
I don't either. But
that's a theme.
It doesn't. In either way, no matter which way you look at it, there's something wrong here. If it's a short amount of time, the fact that she got a promotion this quickly, red flag.
What you doing?
Yeah. If it's longer than that and he still isn't really
competent,
red flag.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You're still not good at what you're doing, Jack.
But yeah, regardless, something here doesn't add up. Ron basically goads Jack into competing into the games. He doesn't want to. In fact, they've got it all planned out. They're going to use the Aunt Emily excuse to get out of there in 15 minutes.
Right.
But, he makes it, Ron talks him into it.
Butler, you're a sportsman. I was kind of counting on you to take part in this. Spouses are eligible.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, come on. Nobody takes it seriously. It's just good, clean fun.
I know, Ron. Normally I'd say yeah, but I'll tell you, we gotta get over to see Carolyn's Aunt Emily. She's
sick,
dying.
Dead.
Well, why don't you stick around for a few minutes anyway, and you can watch with the rest of the wives.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I mean, families.
Yeah, he's an a-hole.
Yep.
So Jack, tells the kid to go get his sweatsuits from the car.
Mm-hmm.
I guess from when he goes to the gym or the gun club.
He has his sweatsuits.
And he's got to change of clothes, ready to go. So Jack competes and wants to compete, but all the other Carolyn's employees are like, you can't win.
Right.
You gotta lose.
You gotta let Ron win.
And Jack's not on board with that.
Ron's a fragile man.
Oh, very fragile.
Well, and everybody's scared of him.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jack's not, because he doesn't work there.
No.
And so he, goes all in. But I love once the firing pistol goes and they're in full, race mode, initially running in flippers and then doing obstacle course kind of things. You see all the different coworkers like grabbing Jack and holding his leg and trying to slow him down.
Right. Yeah. Trying to keep him from winning.
And
because they don't want to suffer the boss's wrath if he doesn't win.
Yeah. And, Jack's still trying to win, trying his hardest until he sees Carolyn, as he's running down the finish line, and then he throws it.
Yep.
He takes a tumble and lets Ron win. And, Carolyn says, I owe you one, Jack. And Ron gets carried around like he's a champion.
So this was kind of the time where I thought maybe I had seen snippets of this movie before. Maybe it was a GIF or a meme or something, but I remember that eye wink that Jack gave from the ground when he threw the whole race. And I remember that somewhere deep down, but yeah, I can't definitively say that I've actually seen this movie until recently. Yeah, it was a good one.
Hey, thanks for unpacking that.
But following his giving up at the competition, Jack basically gives up on life.
Yep.
He does. And this is the first time we know that some actual time has passed, because now he has a beard.
And the movie uses his beard along with his wearing a flannel as shorthand for giving up on life.
Yep. He feels totally demasculated and he's just given up.
And I gotta say, that really pisses me off, because having a beard and wearing flannel are two of my defining characteristics.
But it's the beard because he lacks the enthusiasm to shave, and it's the same flannel every day, which I'm sure you switch them out a little bit.
Occasionally.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah. But Jack is, gets sucked into the world of soap operas, and you see him doing his chores in the most ass way possible.
Raking toys under the bed.
Which I actually saw that. I'm like, yeah, that's actually pretty smart.
Keeping beers in his bucket, his mop bucket.
Yep. I mean, microwaving socks.
That's smart too.
Reheating grilled cheese with an iron, which is just good multitasking.
That was amazing.
Stapling the wubby.
Yep.
And I will say, I used to have a flannel shirt that got so many tears and tatters in it, I had to staple them together. So I get that.
So it resonates with you.
It resonates.
I get it.
Amidst his descent into madness, we also have, which actually I thought was a very clever thing, playing coupon poker with the other moms.
The
I thought that was
coupons
fun.
was great. Yeah, I liked that.
Getting ugly in here.
Hey,
Come on.
All right. I will see you your tender victuals, and I'll raise you a 50-cent yo play and a $2 rebate on a Domino's pizza and a 2-for-1 Sun Pure frozen entree. How about that?
Uh-oh.
Those are some big stakes.
Those are big stakes. I thought that was kind of cute and witty. I thought that was pretty funny.
Carolyn comes home.
Which is not funny.
No, and she kind of, it's like, all right, well, have fun with your girlfriends. And Jack is, he's in trouble.
You want to talk about this shirt for a second, Jack?
All right.
You've been wearing this shirt around the house for about 2 weeks now. Can walk around by itself. Why don't you retire that thing to the Dry Cleaning Hall of Fame, huh?
Because it's a comfortable shirt.
Jack,
Man,
take a look at yourself. You've really thrown in the towel, honey.
We get cracks in there about Orson Welles and how he's put on extra pounds. And, Jack, ultimately, he says he's losing it.
My brain is like oatmeal. I yelled at Kenny today for coloring outside the lines. Megan and I are starting to watch the same TV shows, and I'm liking them.
I can relate to that.
Yeah, I can too.
Yeah, my kid shows, I mean, geez, I could still probably recite the theme song to Sophia the First.
My favorite kids show that I watched with the kids was Phineas and Ferb.
No, it was such a good one.
It was a good one.
Love Phineas and Ferb.
It was a good one.
Yeah.
Do you remember Super Y?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
You don't remember that one? Yeah.
Yeah. In my head, I always have add extra plot lines in about whether Wyatt and I forget what the girl's name was, whether there was I always felt like there was some will they, won't they energy that was going.
Right.
What was the one kid show? It had the really tall red guy and it had Roby, the robot dude.
Yo Gabba Gabba.
Yeah, Yo Gabba Gabba. That was a good one. I like
I didn't
watching
even
that
have
one.
kids. I'd watch Yo Gabba Gabba
Yeah.
because I always wanted to know Biz's beat of the day.
Oh, Biz's Beat of the Day was awesome. And the episode that was hosted by Jack Black was perfect.
They had
Brilliant.
They had
That was
some cool
great.
bands on there, too.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did.
Wasn't My Chemical Romance on there?
They were, so was Taking Back Sunday.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, we all love our pets. Heck yeah. I love
So,
that.
I can identify him. I can identify with him with that.
I
Yeah.
get that.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so they argue and she tells him that she took pride in being a mom and that he should take pride in the important work that he's doing. And his response is that, goes off to sleep on the couch because, things.
He's hurt.
Yeah. Jack tells Joan that he and Carolyn aren't talking. And this is, I guess, some point later.
Mm-hmm.
And following this, this is where we get a soap opera fantasy about Joan.
I came as fast as I could.
You sure did.
You look great, Jack.
I do?
In this fantasy, Carolyn comes home and finds Jack with Joan, and he shoots him.
Mm-hmm.
Man, there was
two things I thought were really funny.
Yeah, there was a ton of funny.
There was some good stuff.
Number
in this
one,
one.
she pulls out the gun, and he's like, "What about the kids?" And then she pulls out a silencer, and puts a silencer on the gun, and then
That was clever.
Then she shoots him, and it's still loud as hell.
Right.
That
Yeah.
silencer in his response, not in the shirt.
Right. So there were some things that I wrote down here, like telling Carolyn to hold on while he was kissing Joan. I thought that was
That's
funny.
good.
That was funny.
Jack using Joan as a human shield.
Uh-huh.
I liked that part. After he got shot, he still grabbed a beer and took a drink of it before he died. And then after he died, he did not fall into the chalk outline.
Yeah, and so he scooches over into
so he
it.
did scooch over, and I loved it. It was such a great
It was
comedic
I thought-
scene.
And I enjoyed that because that scene was the kind of stuff we would have put in movies when we used to make short films.
Absolutely.
It was so
Definitely.
over the top and weird and bizarre. It
Definitely.
was fun. And it didn't matter that nothing in the scene aligned with reality.
Right.
And even though it was a fantasy, Jack was still Jack.
Yeah.
You know, the other characters, you know, Carolyn and Joan, they were not who they really are.
Right.
But Jack was still who Jack was. And I thought that was hilarious.
We've had other movies we've watched with this for this podcast that have involved fantasy scenes. You know, Fast Times at Ridgemont High is probably the best example, where you had two different fantasy scenes. You had Spicoli having his surfer fantasy, and you had Brad having his Linda fantasy at the pool.
Right. That was a good one.
But those fantasy scenes bothered me because they felt like they almost like detracted from the movie.
Well, almost didn't fit the narrative.
Yeah. I like the fantasies here.
Oh, I thought it fit really well.
Because actually the rest of this movie, which presents itself to be grounded in reality, is so askew of reality. At least in the fantasy, it felt, at least they're being fantasy.
Right. Like, shouldn't a fantasy be over the top?
It should.
Right. So, I mean, it's not like out of question that, you know, in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, she could do that, you know, but like make it like crazy. Like, this is crazy.
Right.
Like, this is so crazy.
It was crazy funny.
It was
I got a kick out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I liked that.
One of my favorite moments in the film.
Well, and this moment basically serves as a wake-up call for Jack. And when Joan shows up, he slams the door on her face and basically says, "I can't."
Right.
And, you know.
And then we cue the typical 80s montage.
Yes,
of
rag style montage.
Right? Of Jack getting his shit together.
Yep. And
he shaves.
He does shave.
He gets rid of the flannel. And at the same time, there's another really heartfelt scene.
Yeah. The whoopee.
Yeah.
The whoopee, yeah.
You and I have to have a man-to-man talk here about your whoopee. Your whoopie's looking bad, bud. Now, wait a minute. Now, listen to me. I understand that you little guys start out with your whoopies and you think they're great. And they are. They are terrific. But pretty soon, the whoopee isn't enough. You're out in the street trying to score an electric blanket or maybe a quilt. And the next thing you know, you're strung out on bedspreads, Ken.
You're right.
That's serious.
Yeah, it is serious.
This is the best moment of the movie, at least from a dad's point of view. I mean, because this is the moment we actually get to see him be
a great
parent, a good dad, and a great parent.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. Man, I almost said absolutely.
I've said it 5-6 times.
I don't even
I know you have, Justin. That's why I've been trying not to.
You've been drinking every time?
I'd be smashed, dude.
Okay. I'll get better, guys. I'll get better.
Absolutely.
Not.
Okay. Heartfelt scene, good parenting.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it. I mean, I got nothing bad to say about this moment. And I touched on it earlier, but what I thought was even great about this was this part.
Can I have a moment to myself, please?
Absolutely. You got it.
I mean, even just listen to this, I get the feels.
Yeah, like it made me think of the times when my kids were really young and like all those moments that I had with them of being a really good dad.
Yeah.
You know, and like saying the right things, even when you don't know what to say, and never having that experience to know what to say, but it worked. And it's like, man, that does. It pulls on the heartstrings.
I feel you. I feel you.
But further cementing Jack's ownership of being Mr. Mom now, he makes a fancy dinner for Carolyn, who gets home late.
I wonder if it's beef Wellington.
Hamburger Wellington?
Hamburger Wellington.
Hamburger Wellington.
Yeah, I don't know. But she's home late and Jack's gone to bed. And I can only assume this is a reversal of roles from previous times when maybe he was working late and she had gone to bed. Maybe. I don't know. But Carolyn sleeps on the couch. And whenever Jack comes to find her, she tells him that he's been doing a really good job with the kids. And, they, at least presumably, do it on the couch. Cut to Carolyn giving a presentation to the Schooner Tuna people. And, she, for lack of a better term, freaking rocks it.
She saves the day.
The point is, Schooner Tuna is one of the 3 most expensive tunas on the market. Now, if we want to beat our competitors, the time for these gimmicks and giveaways is over with. Now, I don't mean to be disrespectful, Mr. Humphrey, but housewives need your help, not your gimmicks. Show them that you really care about their problems, and you'll win their loyalty.
And so she basically says, you need to drop your prices.
Right.
And, when she says this, there's silence in the room, and Ron's basically, that's a terrible idea. But the tuna guy likes it.
He does, yeah.
And, Ron, cuts to being a yes man. He's like, oh, yeah, absolutely. It's a great idea. We're totally on board, and blah, 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 blah.
He's a tool.
Yeah.
He sure is.
Back home, though, it's Halloween and it's time for trick-or-treating as Jack is all dressed up. And but Carolyn has to fly to California for a video shoot.
They're shooting a commercial.
Mm-hmm. Which, again, is one of these moments that really, for a film that was originally conceived by a guy working advertising and a film directed by a guy who worked in advertising, they seem to have no idea of how advertising actually works. Because there's no way you go from concept to production that quickly.
Right.
I mean, in minimum, you're talking 6 to 12 weeks probably. From concept to actually having an ad made.
Well, in this movie, we go same day.
Yeah. Forget about the pre-production process. Forget about script writing, casting, location scouting, storyboarding, client approvals, which that alone, because clients, you have to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth would take forever. It's just not realistic.
Heck no. This is a people's message, a message for the people, and he's going to do it with a blank background, and he's going to say exactly what Carolyn said.
Yeah. And but Jack kind of
it just took him like 100 takes.
It sure did.
But before she flies off to Los Angeles, Jack basically tries to guilt her, out of it.
Megan just got 2 new teeth. I'll bet you didn't know that. Alex is playing football. Remember Kenny's security blanket? He doesn't have it anymore. He doesn't use it. It's gone. If you were here, I was going to suggest you go as a ghost. Because even when you're here, you're not here.
Carolyn, we really have to get going.
Hey, Madison Avenue, lighten up.
All right, Jack, what do you want me to do? Not go? Not try? Not succeed?
Of course not. I want you to succeed. Hun, you gave me some real good advice once. So now let me give you some of mine. It's real easy to forget what's important. So don't.
And I think that's real sound advice. But like at the same time, though, how many times did Carolyn feel this way when Jack was out doing his work?
Yeah. It drove home to me the pure 180 of the role reversals is now complete.
Mm-hmm.
This is more evidence to me, though, whoever was ultimately responsible for the final product of this film had no idea what families actually were like. Because Jack lays out a bunch of stuff Carolyn doesn't know about. The Megan's teeth, whoopee, blah, blah, blah. Even if she's been working, they still talk, right? They still would have conversations.
She would know Kevin's playing football.
Yeah,
exactly.
And even if he wouldn't have the clearness of mind to tell her a laundry list of all the things that kids did on a regular basis, she, as an actively involved mother or someone who had been an actively involved mother just not that long ago and was such a mom that she was cleaning up the boardroom and cutting up Ron's steak, wouldn't be so removed from wanting to know about her kids that she wouldn't know about these things.
Exactly.
It's almost like the pendulum swung in the opposite direction just as far as when we had that conversation about how does Jack not know where the extra diapers are?
Yeah.
Right. How is he that disengaged to not know?
Right.
And now all of a sudden she's that disengaged. I think it was on purpose to show the great divide.
Right. Like it's like from the very beginning when it's like, oh man, the drop off women are brutal, and then the boardroom people are brutal.
Right.
And this shows like that, like reversal in such an extreme tone. But yeah, looking at it rationally, it's like,
oh yeah, is
like,
it real?
do you guys not lay down in bed and talk at night?
Right.
It
is not realistic whatsoever.
Right.
No. But I think it was supposed to not be realistic to drive home the point.
Right. I get it. Like, I mean, my wife and I both work from home, and we still like lay down in bed and talk about our days. Right. Even though we like sometimes we're sitting right next to each other at the same desk, we still make the time after work to talk about non-work things. You know, like we have separate lives at work during our work days, but then we reconnect at night and talk about it. And I mean, I don't know. It's weird. 1983, I guess.
Well, I don't think it's so much 1983. I think it's movie script writing.
Yeah.
And bad movie script writing.
I'll give you that.
Whatever it is, I could tell you at this point, this is in my notes where I'm like, how much more of this movie is left?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm there. And but I did notice that on Halloween that Jack also snuck a peek at Joan's cleavage in her costume, and I thought that was funny.
Well, she was dressed up as a slut.
Slutty cat.
And Joan's friend was dressed up as
E.T. Your favorite.
I'd run over there and punch it in the face.
You can see the head swiveling around in circles when you punch it. That was a pretty good ET costume.
Yeah. So from here, though, next day or some point down the line here, not too far in the distant future, Jack has an interview or is called back into his old car company. Babysitter shows up dressed like a punk rocker. He's like, I want no part of that. And so he brings the kids with him to the office. And, Jinx, Jeffrey Tambor basically tells him, hey, if it's a review board, might be able to get you back at half salary. Just got to be a stand-up guy. And, basically he's called in, is told production is down, costs are up. And they basically, his boss basically blames Jack for all the problems. And Jack's like, fuck you.
You want me to be a stand-up guy? Okay, I'll be a stand-up guy. I need my job too, but what's going on here is wrong.
And Jack,
he spills the beans.
Yeah,
he does. And I loved it.
He throws Jinx under the bus where he should be.
Absolutely. And then one of his kids, I forget the names, but either one or two, pops into the room, and Jinx is like, hey, kid, we're in the middle of a meeting.
Dad?
Oh, no, son, you're going to have to get out of here now. This is a meeting.
Just a minute, Alex. Daddy's talking. I know that's not real popular right now, taking pride in your work, but I did. I cared. You fired me for it. If you ever talk to my kid like that again, I'm knocking you out.
Love it.
Yep.
Way to go, Jack.
Absolutely.
For sure.
And, the only other thing, I love when they're in the bathroom. And Jack is drying the baby's butt with a hand dryer, and while the boys are just wrecking the place with toilet paper.
It is TP.
And Jinx and the other execs walk in, and they kind of take a look. It's like, all right.
Uh-huh.
My favorite part after that is he stood up to his boss, and I loved that. And then afterwards, he goes and celebrates with the gals at a male strip club.
Uh-huh.
He
goes to dinner. He gets surprised with the male strip
club.
He
does, yeah. He goes on this girls' night out,
right.
And they happen to end up at the strip joint.
The gals from the hood.
Uh-huh.
Someone now that I think he's looking at you.
Okay. Remember, you don't know where this has been. Hey, where is he putting it? Where's he putting it? No, don't tell me. Don't tell me. No.
So, something I noticed in this, that Joan called the stripper Flash. And they were all, they were astronauts, right?
Gonna save every one of us.
So I wondered if it was a Flash Gordon reference.
Flash.
He could save every some of us.
He did only save some of us.
Yeah,
could be. Absolutely.
That's a good point. That's a nice little Flash Gordon reference there.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
And then we're just keep tying all these things back together.
Yep.
Interesting, that web that gets woven.
Everything is connected. But yeah, ultimately, he's just one of the girls now. And yeah, he's a pretty dang good sport.
He took it well.
Yeah. But anyway, he after this, he gets home, and the babysitter who was there with him, and she knew knew what was going to happen.
She was Joan's friend.
Yeah, Annette.
Yep.
And just good laugh about it. The kids are still up, and they want to call mommy, and he's initially like, it's just not
it's late.
And then the Annette is like, it's only 8:00 in California. And so they decide to call mommy. Back in the hotel where Carolyn's at, though, she's in the shower. Ron sneaks into the hotel room like an absolute creep, complete with room service.
He just keeps finding ways to be creepier.
And he's there when the phone rings. And, he picks up, and Alex is like, my money is there. And then, anyway, ultimately, Ron answered the phone and just hangs up.
In Carolyn's hotel room.
Ron
answers the phone.
Yeah.
And Joan's best friend is there when it happens because she was babysitting the kids.
Uh-huh.
Uh-oh.
Yep. So, in the hotel room, though, Joan comes out of the shower wearing nothing but a bathrobe.
That was great.
While Ron is in her hotel room wearing a bathrobe.
Yep.
Her first question, who was on the phone?
Yeah, like, why the fuck are you in my room?
Yeah, it's not, why the fuck are you in my room? It's like, who was on the phone? She's not shocked, which is really, again, bad writing.
Right.
It should, and Ron, oh, man.
You've been drinking a lot, haven't you, Ron?
Moi? Yep, a lot.
Yep.
I think I'm going to have to ask you to leave now, okay?
Why? There are no kids to go home to tonight.
Ron, get out.
We could make a great team, Carolyn.
Really? What the hell's that supposed to mean?
Well, basically, you dump Jack, you marry me, and it's Richardson, Frankel, and Richardson.
Come on. What are you trying to tell me? Is Joan in love with me?
Oh, hell no. But the client is.
All right, Ron. This is my official warning to you. Get out!
Yeah, but he's a douche.
Yep.
He is.
And
he doesn't get out.
No. And so she punches him in the face.
Yeah.
Good for you, Carolyn.
She reared back and really gave him one.
His response? Trying to play hard to get, huh? Man. Back at home, Jack is refusing to answer the phone. He knows it's Carolyn. Carolyn knows that he called. Big miscommunications going on here, and Jack doesn't want to take any ownership of it. So he rips the phone out of the wall. A very mature way to handle things.
I don't know how I would handle it.
I guess I don't either, in fairness.
I mean, if my hot wife was in California, skyrocketing up in this company, and I call her hotel room, and her boss, who I know is, edging on her, answers the phone. Yeah, I'm pretty pissed off as well.
I'm pissed, but I'm not gonna pull the phone. Well, I don't have a phone that goes in the wall anymore, but I'm not gonna ignore I would answer it. And I would be like, what the hell is going on?
I don't know if I would.
No?
No.
Oh, I'm having that conversation.
Oh, I am too, but I'm going to calm down first. I don't think I'm having it right then and there.
Rationally, you're right.
All right,
I should.
Regardless of how you would handle the phone, would you put your foot through the TV?
No, hell no.
No, I just got that fixed.
Yeah.
I mean, the horizontal hold just
got right.
Yeah.
Why would you mess up the horizontal hold?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bad move.
No, I'm not breaking anything that's going to cost me more money. You know what I mean? I'm not going to do that.
Because my heart is already broken.
Right. Why would you need to break anything else?
Right.
Annette, as you alluded to, Brian, tells Joan.
Yep, she does.
Joan rushes over. I'm sorry. We're now in the next day. Joan rushes over. And when she arrives at the house, we find that Jack's, he's just, let's just say he's making some changes.
Yep.
Oh, good. Another grown up.
happened?
Dad's making some minor changes.
Hi, Joe. Just a little work around the house. Kenny! Don't paint your sister!
You know, I feel that so much, though, because, like, when I'm real stressed or anxious or, like, I got a lot on my mind, I just want my hands busy.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to do any project that I can find.
I don't know how many arguments I've had with my wife while I was folding laundry.
My hands need to be busy so my mouth can talk.
Yep.
Yep, I get it.
But yeah, so he's tackling some of those home improvement things he talked about earlier. You know, no chainsaw this time, but he's got the kids painting walls.
Yep.
Joan, shows up. He tells her to, help herself to drinks or whatever. And then he goes off to take a shower while he's got kids essentially unattended.
Painting.
Yeah.
Bad move.
1983 is probably lead paint.
Probably. That was the best kind.
Hey, why don't you use this lead paint and paint over the asbestos?
This tastes sweet.
Yeah. I'm lightheaded.
Did you eat a lot of lead paint when you were a kid?
I'll regret this in 40 years.
While Jack's up in the bathroom, Joan follows him into the bedroom and makes herself comfortable.
Lays on the bed.
Yep. And Jack, is in the bathroom, and he knows that Joan wants his junk.
Mm-hmm.
And he's talking through the options with himself.
Hey, she's an attractive woman.
Is she?
She wants you, Jack. She wants you bad. C.
That's true.
I didn't want to think about C.
He makes it all the way through the alphabet.
He does.
It's a long time.
Until he finally gets to to Z.
And what does he say at Z?
I love my wife and I would never do that.
Yep.
Or something along those lines.
Right.
And he walks out the bedroom fully expecting to confront Joan. But Carolyn is flown back from L.A.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Joan.
Jack.
Carolyn?
Well, now that we have the names straight, would you mind explaining to me why I come all the way home to talk to you and I find another woman in our room?
Oh, look who's talking. I called your hotel. Richardson answers the phone, and I hear champagne chilling in the background.
You heard that?
Ha ha! Now, I'd appreciate if you just don't talk to me right now because I'm doing my best to calm down, all right? Excuse me, I have a household to run.
Yeah, I mean, miscommunications happen.
Yeah,
they do.
Yeah. And assumptions are made on both sides,
right?
And both are wrong, and neither one are at fault for either one.
I mean, that's why I answered the phone. We're going to talk about it.
Yeah. But go down to the doorbell, and man, we now have the cavalcade. Between the fact we didn't talk about already, we have repair people here. The same repair people before the Hormel Chili disaster.
Incident, yeah.
Right. Like
are here.
How many problems do you have?
Well, we got the TV repair person here who discovered the whole problem with the TV. There's a size 12 shoe in it.
Right. I mean, you should have just why would you call a TV repair person for a TV that you kicked a hole in? Just buy a new TV.
You would think. But the
exterminator's back.
Exterminator's there, and
the hot water heater guy.
Yeah, the plumber's back too.
Yep, and so we now come into the door. Though we have Jinx showing up, basically apologizing and trying to get Jack back. We have Ron showing up, apologizing, trying to get Carolyn back, and the exterminators and repair people. I thought this was kind of funny. End up being like their negotiators.
Yeah.
And basically, okay, well, she'll do this, but only if she only has to work 3 days a week. And he'll do this if he only has to do this. And
if he gets his full pay.
Yeah. And then the Schooner Tuna commercial comes on the air. And the movie's over.
So here, I'm going to back up just a little bit. I thought this was really funny. There's this moment where Jack punches Jinx.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, Jinx comes in and makes some comment to the kid.
Right.
And it's like, I told you I would.
Right. What's funny about it is, do you remember when we shot the movie Reversal and we put the knife the killer's knife on
a drill to make it spin,
make it spin and look like super cheesy on purpose.
Oh yeah.
This was like the camera was attached to Jack's fist and he punched him, and it was the cheesiest camera angle I've ever seen.
It was.
And I just thought that was really funny. But then I did wonder, like, after all of the shenanigans that are going on at the end of this movie, and the family's sitting there and they're reconciling, why is everyone hanging around in the background?
Well, yet the exterminators are still negotiating with the bosses.
Like, get the fuck out of my house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, none of you, like, you're not family. You don't know us. Like, get out. Like, just move this conversation outside.
Look, Carolyn's boss is a goddamn creep. He basically broke into her hotel room.
Mm-hmm.
He was like one step away from sexual assault. Jack's boss essentially
another 80s rape.
Yeah, Jack's boss essentially is a self-professed embezzler and book cooker.
Yep.
And somehow they're just going back to work with these two a-holes, and everything's supposed to be okay.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just
Carolyn quit.
Lazy.
Carolyn quit.
Carolyn quit, but he was coming back to get her back.
Right.
Because the Schooner Tuna people, whose ad was running,
so if
less than 24 hours after shooting it, wanted her back.
So if Carolyn quit and Jack turned down the job, they're back to square one, and neither one of them have a job.
Right.
But yet their bosses are still in their house arguing with people that they don't know.
Trying to get them back as employees.
That are just there to exterminate the house and do the plumbing and repair the TV. It's so weird.
It was nuts. It was nuts.
There was a lot going on there.
There was.
Holy.
Yep.
Whew.
Yeah.
That was a ride.
It was. I got to ask, because the thing is about this movie, and as we talked early on, this was the idea, the initial concept for this came from John Hughes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, John Hughes, if you've somehow lived under a rock and don't know who John Hughes is, he's the guy who brought us movies like The Breakfast Club.
Mm-hmm.
He brought us Home Alone.
Mm-hmm.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he brought us a lot of the big movies from these. In fact, actually, before he started writing movies, when he was actually just writing and submitting articles to different magazines, one of his things he wrote was the inspiration for National Lampoon's Vacation. So, I mean, he's been around. He's done things.
His footprint's all over the 80s.
The guy seemed to have a degree of understanding of what families were about, what kids were about, what young people are about, what all this dynamic was.
Mm-hmm.
None of that really seemed like it made it into this movie, or very little of it. There are moments.
I think
there's the wubby.
I think there's a couple reasons for that. Number one, this was his first produced screenplay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he got better as he went along. And I think the other issue, too, is what you brought up, Seth, is the rewrites.
Mm-hmm.
There were other people. It was already out of his hands. There were other people who I think kind of mucked it up with a little bit too much slapstick and not enough reality.
And slapstick that didn't even land.
A lot of it didn't.
Right.
Some of it did, which made the movie funny.
There were parts, yeah.
Yeah, there were parts.
Mm-hmm.
There is another movie, though, I would like to kind of bring up into the conversation.
Mm-hmm. RoboCop?
RoboCop, yeah, in a different way. Uncle Buck.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
In many ways, there's a parallel you can draw between Uncle Buck and Mr. Mom. They both essentially are featuring characters, male characters who are not the primary caretaker.
Running a household.
Thrust into a situation where they're having to run a household.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Mom is Jack, is the dad who's basically apparently never has changed a diaper in his life in 8 years. And whereas Uncle Buck is John Candy coming in, as a brother who's brought in last minute because parents have to go to was it a funeral?
Funeral, I think so.
Yeah, it was.
And they both have to find their way. Mm-hmm. They both have to find a way for going from 0 to 60, navigating the family dynamic, being the primary and caretaker for a bunch of kids.
Mm-hmm.
Uncle Buck has John Hughes' fingerprints all over it. He's a writer. He's a director.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder whether Uncle Buck was the movie he wanted Mr. Mom to be.
That's a good take.
I mean, it makes way more sense.
There are some differences. You know, the ages of the kids, not dealing with a spouse. So there are some major differences there, but I think the overall theme is fairly consistent.
Well, and I think probably the ages of the kids probably was film. You had to have you had a teenage daughter,
right?
In Uncle Buck, which fell very much within John Hughes' wheelhouse. When you look at his other previous work, you know, your 16 Candles, your Ferris Bueller,
Sure.
your Breakfast Clubs, but you also had a young Macaulay Culkin. You know, you had young actors who were old enough to be dynamic and add more to the conversation. But yeah, I mean, I think that you had, I don't know, you had strong male characters who were finding a way to navigate the family dynamic with humor.
Well, the thing that sets those two movies apart to me is that Uncle Buck was an uncle, an unmarried brother of the father of these kids that had zero experience with kids whatsoever.
Right.
And it made sense for him not to know how to traverse these different situations. And so when you say like Uncle Buck was what John Hughes wanted, I could see that, because like, how would a dad of at least 8 years not know how to do any of these things? You know what I mean? So it makes more sense for Uncle Buck, and maybe Uncle Buck is like Mr. Mom Part 2, the better version.
Maybe it was his way of fixing Mr. Mom.
I mean,
it could be, yeah.
I feel like Jack in many ways is undermined by the premise of the movie. I mean, he's really played like a punchline, whereas Buck is redeemed by the premise and treated as a layered individual. And I mean, I guess in Mr. Mom, Jack gets some layers.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's only like one layer at a time. It's not,
But you also, in Uncle Buck too, like you only had like the one story. And the one story was Uncle Buck dealing with all these kids.
Yeah.
Like you didn't have to worry about the funeral and their flight and, parents doing this and that and the other. They were gone. They were out of the way.
Yeah.
So all you had was giant pancakes.
Right.
And beautiful, wonderful John Candy loveliness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, like I could see how in this way, like Uncle Buck was the Mr. Mom that John Hughes really wanted it to be.
Yeah. It was Mr. Mom without the other distractions of the plot.
Right. Yeah. I love that, man. John Candy. Holy cow.
Miss him every day.
Absolutely.
And John Hughes loved working shovels into his movies. I mean, you had Uncle Buck flipping pancakes. You had the guy with the salt in Home Alone smashing burglars.
Right.
I mean, shovel was a versatile tool.
Oh, man. What a good guy. I wish he was still around.
Absolutely. All right. Anything else we want to talk about regarding Mr. Mom?
Other than Terry Garby and Smoking Hot?
She was hot. I think we were fully on the same page.
Okay, good.
We already got there.
Okay, all right. Just wanted to drive that point home.
Yeah, I got it. No, yeah. I even wrote it down. Brian thinks Terry Garr is really, 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 really hot.
Oh, I see that in your notes. Yeah. Thank you.
My notes say YouTube Hanes underwear videos.
And Seth's notes also say Justin tells neat stories.
Well, shall we go to some final thoughts?
Yeah, let's do that. Who wants to start us off?
Justin, why don't you kick us off? Some final thoughts.
Alrighty. I'm going to apologize for the length of this in the beginning here. So, watching Mr. Mom as a dad, and as someone who's actually been a laid-off dad, holding down the fort at home, this one hit a little different, but not necessarily in the way I expected. So it's a light-hearted 80s comedy, but the whole dad is completely clueless stereotype wore thin for me fast. I mean, Jack's never done a load of laundry, doesn't know how a grocery store works, doesn't even know where the vacuum is kept. Come on, Jack. Did this guy never help out on evenings or weekends before the layoff? That's not endearing, it's just sad. So shame on Jack, shame on his parents, and honestly, shame on Carolyn for enabling it. There were also a few rough spots in the filmmaking perspective, a couple of flat performances, weird camera choices, and pacing that lagged in places. I even found myself wondering how much time is actually supposed to have passed in this movie. That said, I get why this movie resonated in 1983. It was poking fun at gender roles during a time when more women were entering the workforce and men were being forced to reckon with the domestic side of life. It just doesn't hold up as well under a modern lens, especially not for someone who's lived it. So no, it doesn't hold up for me. Modernly. I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it again, but I don't regret watching it either.
You are so adorable when you're angry.
All right, Brian, what you got?
All right. This was not the perfect movie. Like you said, Justin, there were issues with some shots, issues with the plot, issues with the time. But I believe that Mr. Mom holds up in certain ways, especially for fans of Michael Keaton and fans of 80s comedy. But it definitely shows its age. You know, the themes are still relevant, but the humor is a bit dated. It still remains a fun and nostalgic ride, making it worth revisiting for those who enjoy a classic 80s comedy. So to paint my thoughts with a broader brush, I think Mr. Mom reminds us of just how much work goes into parenting, whether it's making dinner, fixing the electrical wiring, or simply being there for the kids. It's a role that is never easy, but always rewarding. This film also reminds me of the importance of supporting one another in our roles, whether we're in a traditional role or switching things up like Jack and Carolyn. You know, it was my turn to pick the movie, and we recently celebrated Mother's Day. And that's why I kind of wanted to pick this movie. I thought it had a bit of a theme there. And so we celebrated Mother's Day this past weekend, and, you know, I think I speak for all of us when we'd like to take a moment to appreciate the incredible work that moms do every day. Whether they're working full-time, staying at home, or doing both, it's about more than just the big moments. It's about the small, quiet ones, too. The late-night feedings, the first day of school hugs, the tough decisions, and the love that makes it all worth it. So, to all the mothers, grandmothers, and all the women out there who step into that caregiving role, thank you. Your dedication, strength, and love don't go unnoticed. And to the dads like Jack who take on new roles with humor and heart, remember, it's about teamwork and lifting each other up. So, from the regular guys, happy Mother's Day. And we hope you all get a moment of peace, love, and maybe a little less chaos.
So were we once.
So, maybe Mr. Mom was funny in its time. Maybe in 1983, the idea of a dad staying at home with the kids was edgy enough to pass for social commentary. But under the light of today, Mr. Mom, and I'm going to choose my words very carefully here, blows goats. This movie tries to pass itself off as slice of life realism, but then asks you to believe that a grown man becomes feral after one trip to the grocery store, a vacuum cleaner is sentient and aggressive, and a soap opera somehow can rewire your brain. All of that might be funny. Might. But it completely breaks the movie's guise of relatability. You can't have it both ways. You don't get credit for tackling real-life issues if your characters behave like they're in a Saturday morning cartoon. And then there's Carolyn, who, against the odds, finds work, proves that she's incredibly capable, comes up with great ideas, but is only allowed to succeed because her creep of a boss wants to sleep with her. That's not empowerment. That's workplace harassment with a jazzy saxophone solo behind it. And the movie doesn't challenge it, it normalizes it. Her success is less about merit and more about proximity to a man in power who finds her attractive. So no, Mr. Mom does not hold up. Maybe it had its moment, but that moment has passed. And if anyone chooses to watch it today thinking it's going to feel insightful or empowering, prepare to be disappointed or insulted or both. I don't know what this movie would have been like had John Hughes maintained the helm. Maybe it would have been better. Maybe it would have been more relatable. But ultimately, that's not the movie we got. And the movie we got, I will not be watching again.
Bye, darling.
Tough luck, Jeff.
Jack.
You bet.
You bet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think you hit the note on the head there. In my notes, I put progressive ? Or did it reinforce certain stereotypes?
Well, I mean,
and I think you're right. It did reinforce stereotypes.
My issue really came down to it with the normalization, because we see throughout the movie Ron is being a creep. Carolyn is getting advanced because Ron's a creep, and at the end, after Carolyn confronts him and says, "Fuck you, I quit," he basically shows up, and as long as he's willing to give her what she wants, then it's okay for the fact that he was a creep the whole time.
Right?
He's not going to not be a creep. He's still a creep, and Jack. I don't know. I mean, he comes around. He gets to be a decent dad, but the issue I have, and it's just stood out to me from the get-go. Why wasn't he a more decent? I mean, and maybe in 1983, I think if I remember the stats right from years ago when I took sociology, about 30% of the home jobs, whatever it might be, were done by men. Today it's much higher. We're not, still not 50-50. But, at this point, even in 1983, it wasn't like it was zero.
Right.
Men were still doing some stuff.
Right.
And we had more to do, and we still have more we could do. But I don't know. It just feels so untrue to where we are today.
An interesting point, Michael Keaton, after the film was released, he did not like the title.
Yeah.
He didn't like the title Mr. Mom, and he said, quote, "It's just being a parent." And so I think he got it.
Good for you, Michael Keaton.
Yeah, I agree.
I like that.
So even though he was in the movie, and he was darn good in the movie, he made the movie worth watching.
Right.
He made the movie worth tolerating.
Yeah.
Maybe I should put it that way. But yeah, he got it. He says it's not about Mr. Mom or Mrs. Dad. It's about being a parent.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of hit the nail on the head, even though, he was tied to this movie's success, which really springboarded his career.
I mean, his career blew up,
mm-hmm.
and he became a household name, and, still doing things.
Yeah. And doing them well.
And on that note, let's call this a wrap on this episode of the Regular Guy Movie Show. We've broken it down, debated the highs and lows, and now it's your turn. Do you think this movie still holds up? If you do, spoiler alert, you're wrong. I'm just saying.
Hey, 2020, 2021, whatever it takes.
Yeah, whatever it takes. Ultimately, though, would you watch it today? Feel free to leave a comment and let us know, or add any other 2 cents you might have to chip into the conversation. And while you're at it, be sure to subscribe and leave us a review. And if you have a movie that you would like us to cover, let us know. Head on over to regularguymovieshow.com and click the Suggest a Movie link. We might just talk about your suggestion in a future episode. And while you're there, check out our blog and listen to our past episodes. You can also follow us on the socials. Look for the links in the show notes. Thanks for hanging out with us, and as always, be kind, rewind.
The Regular Guy Movie Show, talking flicks. Here we go!
I ate a lot of tuna when I was a kid. You guys?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. It was
I mean,
it was like a once a month meal.
It was a summer staple. You know, crack up in a can of tuna, dump it in a bowl, pour in some mayonnaise, a shot of mustard, stir, put it on some toast. Fucking lunch.
Toast? Wow, you guys were high rent. We just threw it on straight up bread.
I mean, we could.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a little bit more of a fancy taste, you know.
I've never eaten a tuna salad.
A little more erudite.
No.
Oh, it's,
God, no.
There's room in this world for a good tuna salad.
Oh, man. No, thank you.
Yeah, the problem I have with tuna salad, I'm okay with just a basic. If you were only talking about, you know, just white tuna out of a can mixed with the basics, just mayo, mustard, maybe a little bit of salt, pepper, paprika, something like that, fine.
Dash of relish.
I'm okay with a dash, but the problem is people go too strong with a relish. Or even worse, goddamn celery.
Oh, that's awful.
See, now I'm a big celery fan.
Celery just slows it down.
I love celery.
I don't know if we can be friends anymore.
That's fine. I'll choose celery over you.
I gave you a rad t-shirt.
I know, but I eat celery like 6 times a week. I love it.
How do you live with yourself?
That's good with peanut butter.
Did you know celery is a negative calorie food?
It is, yeah.
You burn more calories eating it than you consume.
Yeah, the digestion part of it.
So really, you're just eating peanut butter. So why not just eat peanut butter?
Because I like the crunch. It's a good crunch. It's fresh.
All right.
I don't know. I like celery.
Real quick, what did the blind guy say when he walked into the tuna factory? Hello, ladies. Another dad joke.
Mr. Mom. We need some theme music. Like,
a little hi-hat.
Mr. Mom.
Boom, boom.